All right, we are live here on Steeler Country with our live draft coverage. Thank you all. We are live here
hearing myself back.
on Steeler Country with our live draft coverage. Thank you all. We are live here
hearing myself back.
on Steeler Country with our live draft coverage. Thank you all. We are
live
live here
hearing myself back.
on Steeler Country with our live draft coverage. Thank you all. We are
live
live here
hearing myself
on
back.
Steeler Country with our live. Okay, I think we're good. Yeah, the Bengals have taken not Panay. They took the Bengals have taken. Are we back? Can I hear myself? Hopefully I can't hear myself. Let's see. Hopefully I can't hear myself. That would be nice. Yes, Max joining us here. I'll get back to my screen here where I can show some chats. Max says the Bengals did exactly what we wanted, not taking Penei Sewell. That is, of course, if anyone who watches me on AFC North Talk knows, Team Chase versus Team Penei was all the debate in Cincinnati. They go with Jamar Chase. Now, look, I will tell you this. It doesn't make the Steelers' life any easier, especially when you consider the fact that the Steelers just cut Steven Nelson, right? You know, cornerback is certainly going to be a pick we'll talk about. Probably not today, but probably, in the days to come here, we'll be talking about cornerback, whether that's tomorrow or potentially in round 4, one of those 2 round 4 picks. I think cornerback is coming for the Steelers. Can Joe Hayden hold up against a guy like Jamar Chase for a couple games next year? It's going to be a tough ask for Joe Hayden at 32 years of age. Jamar Chase is a very good player, but, and as Max is pointing out here, the hope is he don't have to hold up for very long because it's going to be TJ Watt, it's going to be Alex Highsmith, it's going to be Stephon Tuitt, it's going to be Cam Hayward in Joe Burrow's face twice this season, and that's got to be the hope when you think about, what they bring to the table, what the Bengals now bring to the table from an offensive standpoint. And look, their offensive line, by the way, we talk about Cincinnati here. Look, they did address that offensive line this offseason. They signed Riley Reif. So they have 2 starting tackles now. Jonah Williams has injury concerns, no doubt about it. But, I think when you look at what Cincinnati brings to the table, offensively and on that offensive line, it's no longer, I think, a terrible offensive line like it was a year ago. Can they be average or can they be just slightly below average? That could make them get a much more formidable, especially when you add a guy like Jamar Chase, who can be a dynamic number 1 receiver, and they already have Tyler Boyd, they have T. Higgins. I think the Bengals couldn't have made a bad choice there, but we'll see. Again, if Jonah Williams goes down and they start having injury concerns on the offensive line, then you start to talk about, once again, all these problems with that Bengals on offense. All right, so where are we? Why does it say they select Najee Harris? The Steelers have not selected Najee Harris yet, although I could leave that up all night because I think we all know where the Steelers are going tonight. It's not a question of if the Steelers are going to select Najee Harris. It's just a question of if Najee Harris is going to be on the board when they're up. Running back is a big need for this team right now. I think the debate in Pittsburgh, and I'm sure every Steeler fan's asking the same thing, right? Which is, should the Steelers select a running back, or should they wait till round 2 or round 3 to take, whether that's Javonte Williams who falls, whether that's Trey Sermon who will be available at that time, and take an offensive lineman today. With a lot of Steeler fans right now, but certainly you look at what Najee Harris brings to the table, every down back, a guy who can do everything. This could be a bell cow. He could be a bell cow in Pittsburgh, no doubt about it. What he does in the passing game is just as good as what he does in the running game. And that's the thing about Najee Harris that kind of blows you away, right? You watch him as a runner, the polished runner that he is, but then you watch him in the passing game, his catch radius, his ability to beat defenders just by his route running. I think he brings a ton to the table in the receiving game as well. And the comparisons to Le'Veon Bell that everybody talks about, look, it's always silly when you compare a rookie to someone who is as good as Le'Veon Bell was. But just from a traits perspective, right? The things that Najee Harris brings to the table that are very similar to Le'Veon are the elite vision, right? The vision of Najee Harris, and then his ability out of the backfield to be a receiver, just like Le'Veon was, and the patience that he shows as a runner. And he does have a little Le'Veon to his game. But we'll continue that stuff going forward here. We have Detroit is on the clock currently. One thing to watch for tonight is how far does Justin Fields fall? Because if you've been watching Jerry Dulac's Twitter, Jerry Dulac, who writes for the Post Gazette, I'll put this up on the screen here. Jerry Dulac tweeted this earlier. He said, actually, let me do it on this screen because this will probably be easier. Get rid of that. Transition this over here. So if you look at, if you look at, here he says, Najee Harris is the target. They hope Miami or the Jets don't take him, but if he's gone, don't be surprised to see a quarterback taken at that spot. Well, a quarterback taken at that spot, it would be Najee, would be Fields. The question is, why are we saying if Najee's not available, are we taking Fields? If Fields is available, you take Fields, right? I mean, there's no running back that could be available that makes you not want to take what could be an elite quarterback at this level, especially at the 24th pick. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Fields should have gone in the top 5. He's going to fall now. How far does he fall? When does someone move up to get him? That's an open question. Could the Steelers be a team to open up, to go up and get him potentially? But the idea that Dulac is bringing up here, the idea that the Steelers would take a running back over a future franchise quarterback, and I understand where the Steelers are right now, where they think they are, as far as wanting to win a Super Bowl now with Ben Roethlisberger, last chance, and that's why a running back becomes such a high priority for this football team. But you can't, again, this is a team that's picking in the 20s. You shouldn't have a chance at a future franchise quarterback at pick number 24. So when that guy falls to you, I don't care what your immediate needs are, you pick for the future in that case. And then Dulac went on to say, he doesn't expect Fields to fall to 24. It's pure speculation. But if he does, and Najee Harris is off the board, the Steelers like him as much as any quarterback. And again, I just go to this idea. Why is it if Najee's not there? Right, we can debate, and I'm sure we will debate as this night goes on, the relative value between taking a tackle. Right, I like Tevin Jenkins a lot. We'll talk about Tevin Jenkins here as the night goes on. A lot of Steeler fans like Najee Harris. Travis Etienne is a very different type of back. If you want more of an explosive, big play, game changer type running back, he could be your guy. But the debates there are actually, we can have real debates about the relative value of one over the other. But there's no debating the value of a quarterback. And the Steelers right now, yes, I know they signed Mason Rudolph to a 1-year deal, but there's no debating. Like, Justin Fields could change his franchise for the next 15 years the same way Ben Roethlisberger has for the last 16, 17 years. So I don't think that's a question. And it's not going to be a question we're really going to have to ponder for very long, because I don't imagine Justin Fields stays. I don't imagine that Justin Fields is going to stay available for very long here. All right, let me check here. Let me check Twitter to see. I don't want to fall too far behind. I have the broadcast in front of me, but I'm watching on YouTube TV, so I'm streaming it. So I'll probably fall behind what you guys see. So we'll try to keep. I'll try to keep update here with who the Lions are taking. Again, Penei Sewell, how far does he fall? Is certainly. Oh, did they take Penei? They might have taken Penei. So. Yeah, I was going to say, how far does Penei fall? But he's not going to fall very far, it seems. Seems like the Lions are going to take him. So, yeah, and I think, if Penei wouldn't have fallen, I don't think past, where would he probably have gone? Yeah, I mean, he probably wouldn't have fallen, into the low teens, I think, would have been the limit there. Because the Chargers probably would have moved up to get him if the Lions hadn't got him already. So, all right, so we are pick number 8. This draft is going slow. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. We have this. I looked at last year's schedule, and by about this time last year, I think we were at pick 10 or pick 11. So if you have work tomorrow and you're on the East Coast like I am, we may be waiting a while for the Steelers, even at the 24th pick. This is going to be a long draft night. I don't expect the Steelers are going to trade up. Kevin Colbert said as much during his pre-draft press conference. He said, "Look, we're likely not going to move up in this draft." So. It's because they value their pick so much, and of course you should. If you're a Steeler team with as many holes as you have, you're definitely gonna value those picks. Let's go back here. All right. So actually, let me explain kind of what you're seeing on the screen here. If you didn't watch my draft preview video, over here on the side of the screen, this is our best player available board. So this is going to be updated throughout the night as we go. These scores you're seeing are scores that it's kind of it's a weighted grade between 5 different categories here. So I'm taking 5 different big boards, mashing them together to give you one true score for the player, and then these players are ranked that way. So the first grade coming in is Pro Football Focus and their top 300 big board. Now, I know some people don't like PFF, and I completely understand that, completely get it. PFF, what I like about their big board is that they're different, right? They at least have a different way of grading this stuff, right? They have all the people watching the film and doing the grading in that way, using all the analytics. So, when you... I like the idea that, their big board is just in a world where all the big boards are the same, right? It's all this homogenous, like, oh, I have Mac Jones at 10. Oh, I have him at 12. So we're completely different, right? PFF is like, you have a guy at 8, I have him at 80. That's their big board. So I want to work that in. I have the Athletic, their consensus big board, the Draft Scout with Matt Miller, who I think is really well connected. NFL.com, Lance Zierlein does a great job. And then I have the relative athletic score here. That's Ken Lee Plott. What he does is takes each position and breaks down, how tall are you, how fast did you run, and then how fast did you run for, how tall you are, that kind of, how big are you, a big guy running faster is better than a small guy running faster. So that's what you're going to see over here on the side of your screen. If there's a check mark next to their name, that means that Tomlin and Colbert went to the pro day. We know that there's a correlation between Tomlin and Colbert being at your pro day and you being selected by the Steelers in the first round. It's very likely that that's going to be the case. I see you guys in chat are talking about Mac Jones potentially to the Steelers. Let's go over to chat here. Mac Jones to the Steelers. Here's the question I have when we talk about Mac Jones to the Steelers. Do the Steelers... Okay, Mac Jones gets a lot of hate, right? I mean, certainly. Mac Jones, while I haven't watched a ton of his tape as far as breaking down the prospect, we've all watched a lot of Alabama games, right? The question is Mac Jones the kind of quarterback who the Steelers want to build around for the next 10, 15 years? I think the reason why the Steelers were so enamored this offseason with Justin Fields is because they understand where the NFL is going with that kind of dual threat quarterback. Tomlin just re-signed for another, bunch of years now. I think that's the kind of quarterback he's going to go after in the years to come. Look, the Steelers right now, they have Ben Roethlisberger under contract for one final year. Could he extend past this year? Sure. They have all these void years at the end of it. I'm sure the Steelers would love to extend those void years out even further, push some of that cap even further. They have, they took a flyer on Dwayne Haskins, and we'll see what happens there. And then they re-signed Mason Rudolph to a one-year deal. By the way, that one-year deal with Mason Rudolph for just $3 million. So barely even backup money. We keep hearing about how the Steelers they believe in Mac Jones, or they believe in Mason Rudolph. They believe he could be, the future of the position. I don't think so. Mac Jones, I don't know how far Mac Jones is going to fall. I don't imagine the Steelers are moving up for a guy like Mac Jones. If he's there at 24, it'll make for an interesting question. And again, I think if he does fall all the way to 24, look, to me, he's the worst of the 5. So when we talk about, future franchise quarterbacks, and I know I just went on the big rant about Justin Fields, would I take Mac Jones at 24? I think I probably would, because again, you don't get your chance at these guys. Even players who I was talking about a year ago, like Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, these are guys who have elevated up to the second and third picks in the draft. Right? So guys like this just don't go. They don't fall to 24. So if Jones gets close, maybe he will. But yeah, a lot of people in chat here talking about the running game, fixing the running game. We're going to talk a lot about fixing the running game tonight. What that's going to take. How do the Steelers go about fixing their running game? Because yes, we can all agree, right? Every Steeler fan agrees that, there's all this argument about offensive line versus running back. You need to fix the offensive line first. No, you need to fix the running back first. Look, the Steelers have to fix their running game because the Steelers were, without a doubt, the worst running game in the league last season. In fact, I'll put it up here on screen so we can see just how bad they were. That's probably the wrong one to put up. There we go. The Steelers, as far as running the football last year, they were the worst in every statistical category. I mean, they're just... They were the worst, right? They were the worst in total yards, worst in yards per carry, worst in expected points. Their DVOA was 30th, which I was actually surprised by because DVOA, DVOA actually takes into account things like, did you get 3 yards on 3rd and 3 versus 3 yards on 3rd and 1, that kind of thing. So they were, I guess, better in that case, but they weren't better in short yardage, right? That's one thing the Steelers were terrible in, and by that I mean third down, 1 and 2 yards to go. Steelers were the worst in the league in that category. So, do the Steelers need to get better on the offensive line? Yes. Do they need to get better on the as far as running backs go? Yes, right? Because we can also, I think I have the PFF's numbers here as well. We can pull up. Where do I have the? Here's the run blocking grades for the offensive line last year. This is run blocking for all 5 of the starters. You can see Villanueva was the best of the bunch, and he's gone. Filer was next best. None of these guys are good, right? I mean, again, each player in the back half of the league when it comes to run blocking. Okorafor being the worst of the bunch, and he played right tackle, which is probably one of the most important positions when you talk about the run game. Well, let's see who the Panthers took. They're announcing it. J.C. Horn goes 8th. Wow. So, if we're talking about cornerbacks starting, if we talk about Patrick Surtain maybe falling to 24, probably not, because I imagine that the Cowboys are going to take a corner here in a couple picks at number 10, and that will end that dream. Maybe a Caleb Farley. But anyway, going back to this discussion, Okorafor, the worst of the run blockers there. DeCastro, by the way, very bad in that. Now, the one thing about DeCastro, he was hurt all year, and so, the hope is that he can get better. He'll be better when he's healthy this season, but still, falling to 186th, just not a good look for anyone on that offensive line. Now, we know the Steelers will have a new center. It won't be B.J. Finney. It'll be someone the Steelers take either today or tomorrow. Okorafor will go over to the left side, and Dotson will fill in at left guard. So, the open spots on the Steelers' offensive line right now, we know center's getting taken. I think you can argue that the Steelers could take a tackle to compete with either Okorafor on the left side or Banner on the right side. I'm probably higher on Banner than a lot of people are right now. Interesting to see what you guys think in chat. How do you guys feel about Zach Banner playing right tackle right now? Going back to his tape, obviously you can't look at him last year because he only played 3/4 of that game against the Giants before he tore his knee. So you have to go back to 2019 tape where he was the 6th offensive lineman. I thought he was pretty good. I think PFF graded him out at, as the 60th or 50th best run blocking offensive lineman that season. Now, obviously, playing the 6th offensive lineman is not the same as playing right tackle. But I think the Steelers clearly feel like he's an answer. Mike Tomlin said that to him in his exit interview. They paid him $4.5 million a year. So they're paying him like a starter. I think they're probably more comfortable there at right tackle than they are with Okorafor at left tackle. The other thing to point out here when we talk about the offensive line, they have a completely new offensive line coach. They have a new offensive coordinator too. So we don't even know. I mean, they could change out the entire blocking schemes. They could become more of an outside zone type scheme under Canada. Canada has never called an offense at the NFL level. So this offense could look like whatever they dream it up to be. You guys are saying you're pretty high on him. Here we are. Russ saying I'm very high on Banner. Tanner saying Banner will move people in the run game. I'm with you guys on this. I agree with you. I think Zach Banner is going to be much better than, people talk about him. You hear people saying coming off of an ACL, you can't count on this kid. Only started 6 games. I don't agree with that. I think you look back at his 2019 tape. I think you see a guy who was arrow pointing up at the time, and then you think about the fact that this guy beat out Chooks last season in training camp. And I think, this has been a player who's been ascending his entire career. Now, yes, an ACL tear is tough to come back from, but it's not like it was 10, 15 years ago where this was a devastating injury. You didn't know if they could play again. Guys come back from ACL tears and they're just fine. So, all right, let me update here. Let me update the on the clock thing real quick before we keep going. I don't want to get that too far behind. And I don't think anyone's been taken yet. I see J.C. Horn got taken, right? So I got to remove him from the board. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a little maintenance as we go tonight. Making sure that we keep this board up to date. Let me mark J.C. Horn as being drafted, and he will come off. Once I mark him as drafted, you'll see him fall off the board here in a couple seconds. There he goes. So that'll stay updated throughout the night. Again, this is going back to the board here and what it represents. We can open up each of these players. We can see where they're graded on each of the 5 different categories. Who went to the pro day? That's a little pill right here. So you can see, at Patrick Surtain's pro day, it was Tomlin and Colbert. Tomlin and Colbert also at Micah Parsons' pro day. They were also at Justin Fields' pro day, right? A lot of these top guys. But then we go to Rashawn Slater. Tomlin and Colbert not there, but new offensive line coach Adrian Clem was at the pro day there. Slater probably not going to be there at 24, but I think the Steelers would be happy if he was, because that's an easy pick. If Slater falls all the way down, there's your left tackle. Owusu-Koramoah, one of my favorite players. I want to get you guys' thoughts on this, because look, we talk about fixing the running game. We talk about all this. If a linebacker let's say Micah Parsons, let's say Owusu-Koramoah were to fall to 24, yes, it's a luxury pick. But you put a guy like that next to Devin Bush for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years maybe, and you talk about that defense, Devin Bush, and whoever the linebacker is alongside Minka, alongside TJ Watt, that's a great defense for the next foreseeable future. And yes, you have to figure out the offensive line tomorrow, and you're probably starting Benny Snell day 1, right? Or maybe you're waiting until a Kylan Hill in round 4, something like that. I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. How do you guys feel about? How would you feel if the Steelers passed on offensive line and passed on running back today, and they went with what would essentially be a luxury pick in a linebacker at pick number 24. I'd be intrigued by it, especially Owusu-Koramoah because of the fact that he can do, whereas Parsons is your traditional, Vince Williams type guy, very, very, very physical, very instinctive to the ball, right? Mauler type at the linebacker position. Koramoah, more of a chess piece. You can play him. You can play him at the slot. You can play him at safety. He can play all over that defense. I'd be really intrigued to see Owusu-Koramoah in what, and knowing that the position flexibility that Tomlin desires. It could be the case where, especially in teams that want to spread you out and run the football, you don't have to come out of base in that situation. You can say, look, yeah, okay, I am now finally in Pittsburgh comfortable covering your wide receiver with a linebacker. And that, as long as that linebacker is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and it's not, Robert Spillane or it's not John Bostic, we can be okay as Steeler fans with that. Russ here saying that word is that both Banner and Bush are ahead in the rehab schedule, and it's not surprising, and it shouldn't be surprising, because as I said, ACL tears this is no longer the catastrophic year-long, is this guy ever going to be the same type of injury. This is one where guys come back from this all the time. They come back quicker and quicker. Remember, it was Adrian Peterson. Didn't he run for 2,000 yards right after he came back from an ACL? I think that's right. I think he had it was an ACL tear, and he came back and he ran for 2,000 yards. So I think Banner and Bush, yeah, these guys will be fine. Yeah, Fred here saying I'd be fine with it as long as it's someone I know. Yeah, as long as it's right. Linebacker at 24, as long as it's not like Baron Browning or, I really like Nick Bolton, but those guys are day 2 players. Let's not do another Terrell Edmonds today, Steelers. Okay, let's keep it in the range of let's say top 40 players, right? Top 35 players at 24. Let's keep it in that range. Let's not go with a top 60 guy at 24. And I don't think the Steelers will. I'll bring up another tweet here as the night goes along, because Jerry Dulac at the Post-Gazette said his dark horse for today is Pat Freiermuth, the tight end from Penn State, which is another need pick. I mean, tight end, not to say that the Steelers can't use a tight end at some point this weekend. I think Tommy Tremble from Notre Dame is my top guy for the Steelers because of what the Steelers lack as far as blocking in that tight end room right now. Zach Gentry, we'll see if he, as he develops. Eric Ebron, we know, is not a good blocker. So you bring Tommy Tremble in, and then you hope to develop him over time. All right, let's see who Denver is going to take here. As we go, I think, one of the quarterbacks could be an option here. Someone in chat pointing out this might be Micah Parsons. I think, they remember the Broncos were rumored a couple years back, I believe, to be in the Devin Bush sweepstakes. They ended up trading out of that pick to go with the Steelers, and the Steelers went up and got Devin Bush. So yeah, I mean, they certainly could use an impact linebacker at this spot, and I think this is around the time we start getting into right here with the ninth, between the 9th and 15th pick is when I think you can see Parsons go, and Owusu-Koramoah won't be long after him. But what do we have here as far as quarterbacks still on the board? We think we still have both the guys who the Steelers got looks at, right? I think Mac Jones is on this board at some point. Fields is here, and then Mac Jones is probably down here. Yeah, Mac Jones is also still available. So we shall see. All right, I'm probably behind. I'm watching NFL Network here on my tablet. We'll see who the Broncos take here. I'll try to keep the spoilers to a minimum in chat if possible. Looks like the Broncos are taking Patrick Surtain. Okay, well, there you go. Talked about a run on cornerback. I thought it was going to happen in pick 10. It happens at pick number 9. Sorry about you, Jerry Jones. No top cornerback. So Justin Fields is falling. No one has moved up to get a quarterback. I'm surprised by this. We heard all this talk throughout the week about how all these quarterbacks can go top 10. People are going to be moving up for quarterbacks. Hasn't really happened yet. I guess we didn't get Mac Wilson at 3, which is the biggest shock of the night because everyone said it was going to be Mac Jones, and then very late in the process it was actually it's going to be Trey Lance. Yeah, Max saying Cowboys just got their heart ripped out. Yes, they did. Because they really wanted one of these top 2 corners. I think they really wanted J.C. Horn because you watch the physicality that he plays with. Although, people who put J.C. Horn above Patrick Surtain, like I get it. But man, Surtain is just he's such a polished corner. In the first round like this, when you have guys who their floor is so high, like I think Patrick Surtain will always be a good starter in this league. And I know it's silly to say on draft night, but I do. I really think Patrick Surtain will always bottom out as a good corner. Can he ever be the elite, Jalen Ramsey type? Okay, maybe. But what he floors out at is a good, solid corner for his entire career. So you have a guy like that, you kind of can't go wrong. And so J.C. Horn, yes, the physicality that he plays with, but he could just be a PI machine at the next level. So, all right, so we have Dallas on the clock now. They were rumored to really like Pitts. I wonder where they go. Russ saying maybe Fields does fall to us. Yeah, maybe, right? Maybe he does. Although I imagine, the question's going to start to become, Russ, when do the Steelers realistically start talking about moving up? Because once this starts to happen, once you start getting into the idea of the Steelers don't have to give up that much. Remember, what was it to get Devin Bush? It was their first round pick, it was a second round pick, and then the third round pick the following year, a year that they had the compensatory pick coming for Le'Veon Bell. Well, we know this year the Steelers have a compensatory pick coming for Bud Dupree the following year. So would you be comfortable if let's say the Steelers wanted to move up to 11, 12, 13, and they gave up a very similar package, a first, a second, and a third to get Fields? Now you're going to give up the idea of having a second round pick. So we talk about, you need a running back, you need a center in this draft, you probably need a corner, you probably need maybe a tackle. All those are going to have to happen in rounds 3 through 7 because picks 1 and 2 went to get Justin Fields. Micah goes to Dallas. Did that happen? I guess Sean Lee just retired. I have to look up Dallas's roster and see their needs. Actually, it's funny. I don't know why I'm saying that because I did print out here. It's a NFL draft cheat sheet that I was supposed to use as we went through this broadcast, so I could look at who the potential targets were here. So according to this cheat sheet, obviously they were looking at corner. Rashawn Slater could be an option here. Kwity Paye could be an option here. Micah definitely an option as well. For the Steelers, at this point, I think we want, it says Dallas likely to trade out of 10. Adam Schefter just tweeting that. Let me bring that up here on the other screen. Adam Schefter tweeting Dallas likely to trade out of number 10. How about this? With who? Let me bring this up here. All right, so if Dallas is trading out, Eagles traded up. All right, so we just got the news here. I don't know if that's on the broadcast yet, but Twitter is saying the Eagles are trading up with the Cowboys. The Eagles are looking wide receiver, yes? Are we thinking this is wide receiver? Given that they screwed up Justin Jefferson and Jalen Reagor? Trying to see who the Eagles could be targeting here. And how about this? An interdivision trade? Yeah, what is the deal here? Because when we talk about the Steelers trading down, and by the way, I am definitely team trade down for the Steelers. People talk about, well, you can't trade down with the Ravens, and the Ravens have 2 picks in the before round 2. Between round 2 and the Steelers is the Ravens twice and the Browns once. You can't trade with either of them. But maybe you can. Hey, how about this? Dallas and Philadelphia setting the tone here. Oh, Max, I like this, Max. I like what Max is thinking here. Devonta Smith. How did I forget about Devonta Smith? And for those of you who watch Barstool and who are as annoyed as hell by Stephen Shea all the time as I am, Stephen Shea kept saying Devonta Smith will not be a top 10 pick. Did the Eagles trade up here just to prove Stephen Shea wrong? I hope so. By the way, though, Devonta Smith, an interesting player because I don't know if I would take a 166-pound wide receiver with the 10th pick. Especially, what is he, 6'1", 6'2", 166 pounds? We're already going to see Rondale Moore get taken. He's 5'7". But listen, the thing about Devonta Smith, you love his game. This is one of the greatest route runners we've seen. He for a 166-pound guy, he can bring down 50-50 balls. You love him with the ball in his hands, run after catch as well. Dynamic player. Looks like so the trade is that the Eagles moved up from 12 to 10 and gave away their 3rd round pick to do so. Russ saying he annoys me as well. Yeah, Stephen Shea. The Giovanni Bernard. It got to me. Dallas are going to get Smith. Well, it looks like Philly's going to get Devonta Smith here. That is what it certainly is looking like. So if Dallas is moving down, you can imagine that they think they can probably still get Slater. They can probably still get, they can still get Parsons potentially. The Eagles are moving up here to get a wide receiver. They're going to get Devonta. You still have 2 quarterbacks on the board. Things are going to get weird here in about a half hour. If we're at pick 16 and 2 quarterbacks are still on the board, things are going to get real weird before the Steelers, because then you start to really think about the Steelers trading up. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw the Mike Tomlin video, the Ohio State Pro Day video, where Tomlin told Justin Fields, "You know who we're here to see." Now, of course, you watch the video and you say, "Well, he's just saying that because he's a big Justin Fields guy. I want to get him pumped up for the Pro Day." And, Justin Fields is probably going to go 4th, 5th, 6th overall, something like that, right? That's what we thought at the time. Here we are on draft night. We're watching the Eagles pick 10th. Justin Fields has not been taken. And by the way, as you start to look at the teams that are coming up, okay, the Giants don't need a quarterback. Dallas doesn't need a quarterback. The Chargers don't need a quarterback. Minnesota doesn't need a quarterback. New England does. Are they more of a Fields or Mac Jones type team? And then beyond that, Arizona doesn't need a quarterback. Vegas, John Gruden loves quarterbacks, so he'll take anybody. Definitely could be in play there, and Washington could be in play. And Chicago is going to be a trade-up candidate. So you probably want to get ahead of, if you're going to trade up to get one of these guys, you probably need to get ahead of Washington and Chicago, right? So that I think is about the time where we need to start talking about the Steelers potentially moving up to get Justin Fields if that's something they desire. And again, Tomlin and Colbert talking about not wanting to move up, and I get it, because we talk about all the needs this team has. But you get a future for Ben Roethlisberger at yeah, you got to give up a 2nd and 3rd to do so, but maybe. All right, so it looks like this is going to be Devonta Smith. Giants, Elijah Vera Tucker. Yeah, I mean, the nice thing here is we're going to start to get a run of players who the Steelers basically didn't have a whole lot of interest in, right? We got this run on wide receiver now. Steelers had no real interest in wide receiver in round 1. Vera Tucker, more of a guard than a tackle in all likelihood. Vera Tucker not really going to be in the sweepstakes for Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I mean, that's what you want to see if you're a Steeler fan right now. No quarterbacks getting taken. And, if you want to start taking interior linemen that aren't centers, fantastic. Russ saying here, a few guys said Fields would fall to us. Hey, listen, Jerry Dulac threw it out earlier today that he could fall, and everyone called him crazy. Of course, the part of the tweet, again, I'll go back to this, the part of the tweet that drives me nuts is the idea that he's floating out there. And look, maybe this is his own opinion. Maybe he's hearing this from inside the Steelers organization. But the idea that you could be on the board at 24 with Justin Fields and Najee Harris, a quarterback and a running back, and you say, we're going to take a running back here, that's insanity to me. Especially Justin Fields type player. A guy who should legitimately be a top 5, top 10 talent, falls to you at 24. We can, again, Mac Jones is a different argument. I would probably still take him, but different argument. But Justin Fields falling, you can't let that happen. Dead Sea Monster, all I want for Christmas is Tevin Jenkins. Tell me about it. I mean, I watched, again, there's 2 players in this draft. We talk about the Steelers offense wanting to get more physical. Okay? This is a team that, hey, we want to be at, the kind of ground and pound type of Steeler offense that we used to be, especially on the offensive line. If you don't like Tevin Jenkins, you don't like Landon Dickerson from Alabama, I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing? I get the not liking Landon Dickerson for medicals, but if you are... by the way, Ian Rappaport just saying the Giants are having trade talks at 11. Because, this is a part where, like, New England and Chicago and Washington all have to start thinking about, there's 2 quarterbacks left and there's 3 of us that really want one. So what are we going to do here? But, yeah, Tevin Jenkins, the right side. I mean, this is a guy who, again, I said this in the video I put out the other day. This guy on every play, he's the kind of player who wants to put people in the dirt. That's what he does. He's one of those guys where as soon as he gets his hands on you, you're going for a ride. I mean, he's incredible. So I would love to see Tevin Jenkins in black and gold. Now, there's questions about would you rather have him on the right side or the left side? We talked about Zach Banner earlier. Russ saying he's starting to think the Steelers played the media with Harris to go after Fields. Okay, it's interesting. So 2 years ago, it seemed obvious to a lot of people that the Steelers were very interested in Devin Bush, right? There's no doubt about that. The only question is, would he fall to them in the 20s? And the Steelers went up and got him, right? The Steelers made no secret 2 years ago that they wanted Devin Bush. They were going to get Devin Bush. And they moved up to get him. So this year, look, it's not surprising to me that what the Steelers want is out there because it's we've known in years past the kind of player, right? Remember, everyone knew the Steelers wanted William Jackson the year that they ended up taking Artie Burns because the Bengals took him one pick earlier. It is not rare that the Steelers, the Bears have traded with the Giants. Yeah, so this is either Justin Fields or Mac Jones. There's quarterback 1 off the board. But it's not. I don't think it's not rare that that the Steelers, who they want, the players that they're interested in, are widely known. And for whatever reason, the Steelers. Well, first of all, when you only take players who your coach or general manager sees in person, well, then you shrink the list, right? Remember, I was able to do a video a couple weeks back shrinking the list of realistic targets for the Steelers to 11 players. Right? So you look at that list of 11 players and say, okay, well, this is it. These are all the players that they could look at or that they're looking at right now in the first round, given their tendencies. So, yeah, let me put the Bears on the clock here because it seems like that's who's going to be here. Taking whether this is Mac Jones or Justin Fields. I think my brother is in chat. He's from Chicago and he is a huge all his friends are huge Bears fans. Chris, if you are watching, would love to know if your friends would rather take Mac Jones or Justin Fields here. I have to imagine that if the Bears take Mac Jones at this point, even though the Bears get their quarterback, it won't be happiness in Chicago. But yeah, it seems like one of those two is going to go. I imagine it's Fields. Russ saying it's Fields. I think it's Fields as well. But here's the thing: the Bears trading up to get Mac Jones. I mean, it's very Bears, isn't it? It's a very Bears thing to happen. All right. So what do we got here? Devonta Smith is off the board. We did that. He's not on this. I'm trying to make sure that I don't have anyone still here that has been taken already. I do not. This list is not moving. The Steelers' top board is not moving here. The one thing weird thing for me on the board here that I have is, look, the Steelers are going to take an edge rusher at some point. I don't imagine it's going to happen today. But I do have a lot of the top edge rushers are all on this board. Ojulari, Owe, Pay. The Steelers got looks at all of them, right? We dig into these players, Tomlin and Colbert there. I think Jason Owe, Tomlin and Colbert were there. Ojulari, Tomlin and Colbert were there. So they got to look at all the edge rushers. Again, I don't think they're going to take one. All right, my brother here is saying, yeah, they want Fields. Yeah, I mean, no one really likes Mac Jones. The problem for Mac Jones is that he's a Bama quarterback who is surrounded by incredible talent. And, he is kind of a ho-hum quarterback. He's not dual threat. He's accurate. You can give him that, but he's throwing to Jalen Waddle. He's throwing to Devonta Smith. He's handing the ball off to Najee Harris every play, and he's blocked by 3 guys. 3 out of the 5 guys are in this year's class, and the other 2 will be in future classes. Russ here saying Alex Kozora stressed the Steelers only take round 1. Yeah, and so actually what we can do here, and that is absolutely the case. He's right here. The Steelers only take a player in round 1 where Tomlin or Colbert we're at the pro day. I can actually filter this list here, the list on the right, or on your left. I can filter this out to be only players that Tomlin and Colbert were at the pro day, so we can so you can see, what that list looks like. This is that list now. So you can see, of the players that are realistically going to be taken today, you get a lot of guys out of there, right? There's no more Slater, there's no more Tevin Jenkins. When we start talking about could the Steelers take an offensive lineman today, okay, we're talking about Landon Dickerson. Then we're talking about Leatherwood. We're talking about Eichenberg. Those are the offensive line. Go further. Jackson Carman. Tevin Jenkins not on this list. Tomlin and Colbert did not go to Oklahoma State, and I do not believe that there was any sort of schedule conflict there either. They just chose not to go. Not to say they don't like the player. I think they had a Zoom interview with him, so clearly they're interested. But when we talk about players that they're realistically going to take today, they would have to break the mold if they were going to take a guy like Tevin Jenkins today. Max saying Mac Jones here. It would be the most Bears thing to happen for them to trade up once again. Last time they did this for Trubisky, the one quarterback in that class where you went, oh, not so sure about that guy. You had Mahomes in that draft, who Mahomes was crazy tape, but you went, man, if that guy works out, that's the next great quarterback. Then you watch Deshaun Watson, you said, well, look, this guy makes some dumb mistakes at times, but he is a winner. And this guy goes out there and just wins football games, does whatever he needs to. So, yeah, if it's Mac Jones, it's just, it's Trubisky 2.0. I don't imagine that'll be the case, though. I think I think the Bears are going to be smart enough here to go Justin Fields. Which does make, by the way, freezing cold takes here in about 4 seconds is going to be retweeting QB1, the QB1 tweet from the Andy Dalton QB1 tweet. So there's that. Yeah, if the Steelers wanted Justin Fields, this is about the time when they were going to need to trade up, and this is probably too much to ask for. So we're gonna keep it. The Steelers are likely going to keep it within what we knew, which is this is either going to be tonight is either going to be a running back, an offensive lineman, or potentially a linebacker, and there's an outside chance that this will be that corner comes tonight. But I think it's more it's far more likely to me this ends up being a running back or an offensive lineman tonight. And I wouldn't rule out Landon Dickerson in that. I know the medicals for Landon Dickerson are a concern, but if Steelers all you need is the Steelers doctors to have given him more of a clear than other teams, and they're right in there for that pick. All right, Goodell is announcing this pick on my stream here, and I guess he's doing some sort of pre-speech here. It's hard for me to hear. I have it turned down low so you guys so it doesn't mess with the audio here. I imagine this is Justin Fields, though. I mean, Bears, don't screw this up. Although, hey, it'd be great for the Steelers if Fields kept falling. Oh, by the way, the other nice thing that happens here, if this is Fields, and I imagine that it will be, is New England's only quarterback left is Mac Jones. So good luck with Mac Jones out there in New England. And you could have another team. I think you still have teams that could move up to get Mac Jones. So Goodell is going on forever here. Again, it's hard for me to. I'm really just watching it for the graphics. I have a hard time on hearing him. I'm trying to keep the volume low. All right. While we wait to see who the Bears are going to pick here, let's go over. Let's see, what can we find here. I did do a poll of Steeler fans over the past how long? Like in the past week or so. Wanted to get a sense for how do you guys feel about taking a running back in this class, right? Is it the majority of fans want it on day one, the majority of fans want it on day two? It seems like the majority of fans want to take a running back today. So whether that be Najee Harris, and I think a lot of fans want Najee Harris, but Travis Etienne as well. Steeler fans definitely want a running back today. I probably fall more into round two. I think hoping that and this is where I come into like trade down, but you hope that Javonte Williams falls to day two. If he does not, then I think Trey Sermon still would be a good pick in round 2 or 3, whenever that would be. I think Trey Sermon, and there's been reports of the Steelers like Trey Sermon. But the problem for me, and we'll talk about this as we get closer to the pick, the problem for me with Najee Harris is he's 23 years old. Running backs have a short shelf life as it is. He's going to play till 4 or 5 years into his deal. He'll be 27, 28 years old. That's right around when running backs start to fall off, right? You look at the amount of 27 or 28-year-old running backs who are still playing at extremely high levels in the NFL right now, and it's very low. So we talk about winning today. Najee Harris makes a lot of sense. I think we look at you talk about tomorrow, right? You're talking about building this team out for the future, whatever the future is beyond Ben Roethlisberger. Taking a running back, unless you're gonna go straight from Ben Roethlisberger to another quarterback who puts you close to a Super Bowl. Najee Harris is gonna be a complement to whoever your rookie you're building up is. And by the time that rookie, is in year 2 or 3 or 4 and ready to actually help you compete, that's when Najee Harris is going to start falling off, or you're going to end up paying him too much because, you don't want to pay a running back in this league. So that's why I keep coming back to I'm more of a round 2 type player. Dead Sea Monster, Fields to the Bears. Yeah, I did see that. Justin Fields to the Bears. So Justin Fields comes off our list. The dream is dead. No Justin Fields to Pittsburgh. I guess it could still be Mac Jones. All the Mac Jones to 3 hype. Then there was, Mac Jones can't fall past the Panthers. That was the talk. Remember that talk? He can't fall. It's impossible for him to fall past the Panthers. They liked him at the Senior Bowl. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. See how far Mac Jones falls here in this draft. What is New England picks in 1, 2, 3, 4 picks? I don't know. I mean, does someone want to trade up to get Mac Jones? Seems like a lot to ask for. All right, let me switch it here because Cleveland has selected, and we have Dallas back on the clock. All right. Justin Fields to Chicago. I mean, 10 is, what's picked what? Number 11 is actually not as bad a fall for him as, as some people thought could happen. He ends up being the fourth quarterback taken, not the fifth quarterback taken. A lot of people thought he could be the fifth quarterback taken. Jones is end up going to be the fifth quarterback. All right, Chris is asking here, assuming Harris is really the guy we're going for, how many teams are before us that are likely to take him? Great question. Let me pull up a board here that'll show us all the teams picking before the Steelers. We can go over that real quick. Actually, I guess this one will work. Will this work? Yeah, this will work. Perfect. All right. Who has a good draft tracker? I'm going to go use NFL.com, I guess. Because I think the two teams right now that are rumored to take Najee Harris are Miami and Washington. And I guess the Jets, although the Jets have been rumored that they want ETN more than Najee Harris. So, all right, here we go. Close that. All right, let's move this over. I'll give you this view here. So between now and the Steelers, teams that are going to be in the range of a running back. Again, you can rule out all of these teams here. I think it really starts with Miami at 18. I think Washington at 19 is another option, and I think the Jets at 23 are an option. And the other thing to keep an eye out for, as crazy as this would be, look for a team to trade up to move ahead of the Steelers to get Najee Harris. Because, again, the Steelers have made this very obvious to everyone. They want a running back, and they have one running back in mind. That's Najee Harris. Well, if you really think you are a Najee Harris away from being a Super Bowl contender, then you should go up above the Steelers if you want to get him. And there's one team in the draft that I think fits that bill, and that's the Buffalo Bills. I think Buffalo is a team that they need a running back. Now, they probably want more splash at that position. That's why ETN probably fits better for them there as well. But as I talked about, Najee Harris is the one back in this draft who can do it all, right? This is a guy who, as a runner, he's as polished as they come. As a pass blocker, he's fantastic. And out of the backfield, this is a guy who you rarely see the kind of natural ability to catch the football, to run routes out of the backfield. You can split him out if you need to. It's just a rare three-phase package there. The thing I don't like about Najee Harris, the one concern I have about him, is he's not the long speed guy. I think he only had something like 15 carries of 20-plus yards at the collegiate level. Dallas is picking at this point, although I think I have had that tipped to me on Twitter, so we'll skip that. But yeah, I think if we're talking about when, Najee Harris, when is he, when can Najee Harris go off the board? Miami, Washington, the Jets, or potentially Buffalo moving ahead of Pittsburgh. So you have a little while to wait here. We probably got another 5 picks to wait before we get into the range of, all right, is Najee Harris really going to be available when the Steelers are on the board? And it's one of those things where the Steelers have made it so obvious to everyone that, you very easily could see a team move up to get him. All right. Tyrone saying they definitely should not waste a first-round pick on a running back. It's the situation the Steelers have put themselves in, right? We talk about, okay, you can't wait, they just can't do this. They can't waste this pick. Whoops. They can't waste this pick on a running back. Okay, I hear what you're saying, and I get it. But why do I keep covering over that? But here, let's take a look at the running back grades for this football team a season ago. All right, so those are the running backs last year that had a qualification for being, enough carries to be registered on PFF's grading chart. James Conner is no longer on the team. You have Benny Snell on the team right now, 62nd out of 63 qualifiers on PFF rushing grades. And no, I know we don't all have PFF rushing grades. It's shorthand, but you watch the tape as well. I mean, Benny Snell, he brought nothing to the table. You have to get a running back at some point. So whether it's round 1 or round 2, it has to be that guy. The argument that people make who say you have to get a running back in this class is that there is a huge drop-off between the top guys in this class, the tier 1 guys, Najee, ETN, Javonte Williams, there's a huge drop-off between those players and the next tier of guys. And if I go back here to this, and I'll filter out this list. I'll filter out this list by, we'll do this by running back. Let me take off the Colbert thing, and we'll do this just by running back so you can see what I mean when I say that. Why is Najee Harris not on the board? Did I mark Najee Harris as being drafted? No? Where'd Najee Harris go? All right, well, Najee Harris will be on this. But wait, where'd Najee Harris and ETN go? What happened to my board? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Those are only players Tomlin and Colbert did not go to their pro day. There it is. There's the real board. All right, so if we look at this board, you can see even in the scoring here, right? You dig in. This is unanimous. I mean, these three guys are unanimously thought of as tier 1 type of players. There is a big drop-off before we get to Trey Sermon of Ohio State. Now, Trey Sermon is the only other running back in this class who I really think can be, a bell cow type that the Steelers want. And by the way, we talk about bell cows the Steelers want. I don't know that ETN is that guy. So really, there's only 3 guys in this class that you really think of as like the bell cows that the Steelers want. But yeah, I mean, that's what people who want a running back in round 1 will tell you. You can't wait because these are the only guys that fit what the Steelers need. They need a hit at the position. All right, this is a team that wants to win, not in 2022, not in 2023. They need to win now because Ben Roethlisberger is not going to be here in 2 years. And oh, by the way, there's no quarterback on the roster besides Mason Rudolph past this season, so you can't count on anything. You need a runner. You need to fix the running game. You need to fix the running game now. You fix the running game now by getting an elite runner who can get yards by himself. Do I agree with that take? I understand that take. I don't agree with it. I understand it. It's the situation this team has put itself in right now. They have not hit on running back in late rounds. They need a runner in this class. I would rather get an offensive lineman because whether you fix whether or not an offensive lineman fix the running game now, it helps fix this thing in the long term, right? A good offensive line is going to fix your team, not for the next year, but for the next 5 to 10 years. And, you go back to the last time the Steelers had a great runner, Le'Veon Bell. Well, when Le'Veon Bell went down for that season, and what was his name? The runner came in behind him. D'Angelo, God, why can't I not remember that guy's name? Anyway, he came in and was fantastic. He was also very good. I mean, look, it wasn't Le'Veon level, but he was still a very good runner in that system. Why? Because they had a great offensive line back in that. You could put any runner behind that group that wasn't named Ben Tate, who came off the street after one game, and you would have a fine running game. So, D'Angelo Williams, yeah, what am I talking about? Yeah, so I'm with you on fixing the offensive line first, but the Steelers are in like a they need to get rich now, right? This is not a thing where they need to get a job and hold that job and, invest in property or whatnot. No. This is a team that needs to get rich right now. Right? They got to get rich in the running game right now. They're not investing in the future. It's not a 5-year plan for Pittsburgh. This is a 1-year plan. Holy crap. We had the worst running game in the league last season, and it needs to be much better if we're going to compete for a Super Bowl. All right, and so we need to get it better as quickly as possible. And the other thing we should talk about with the running game is it's going to be better next year just from the fact Tomlin had this line the other day. I thought it was a great line during the pre-draft press conference. Let me read it here. He said, improvements to the running game go beyond the addition of additional players, or the acquisition of additional players. Schematics, formations, the things that you do to give yourselves a strategic advantage need to be improved as well. Randy Fichtner is an offensive coordinator. Sean Sarrett is an offensive line coach, right? The play calling that they had, the run fits that they had. This was a team last year that could not get a single yard when they needed to. Okay? So, of course, this was not going to be a football team that was going to be leading the league in rushing because they couldn't, when it was 3rd and 1, we're going to run. We know you're going to, we're going to run. It. Didn't, again, not pushing anybody off the football. So, with Matt Canada coming in, with Adrian Clem coming in, it's going to be different, right? At least in that way, the running game should be better than 32nd in the league. Even if the personnel isn't substantially better, even if the running back themselves isn't substantially better, just the idea that you're going to have an actual play caller in the system, and you're going to have a running game that you're going to pay more than just lip service to. And when it's 3rd and 1, you're not just going to bring Derek Watt out there twice in the exact same formation, with the exact same motion. to run this, to run the exact same play, hey, maybe in that way the running game will be a little better. But the point tonight and the point this week is to fix the running game. They've done it through getting Canada and Clem. The next couple of days is how much can you do it through personnel, because this is a team that you can't throw the ball 50 times with Ben Roethlisberger at 38 years of age and expect to continue. You can't expect to win. You can't expect to win late in the year, right? 38-year-old Ben Roethlisberger is not going to throw the ball 700 times, and we get into January. It's like, yeah, I got a live arm. I'm ready to go, coach. Like, that's not going to happen. So they have to improve the running game. They have to do it right now. There's no waiting. So they've put themselves in a situation where taking a running back in the first round, as silly as it is, and as short-sighted as it is, and how much it might, in some ways, tip the franchise back when we talk about what this rebuild is going to look like, it is something that they have to do for right now. All right, let's get updated here with who was taken, and let me reset the draft board here. Now that Najee Harris is back on the board, did I scare any of you? Maybe he was taken already while we were talking. All right, let's see. And then who is on the clock right now? I believe on the clock currently is the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota's in because the Chargers just picked. The Chargers are going to take Rashawn Slater, right? I mean, there's no way they don't take Rashawn Slater. They need they're in full offensive line rebuild mode. That should be the pick. I would be shocked if it isn't. Which means, and the Cowboys went Micah Parsons, right? I didn't mark that off. Yeah, the Cowboys went Micah Parsons. Don't even mark that off the board. I was going to say Micah Parsons is falling. No, he isn't. Micah Parsons off the board. And I imagine we're going to be taking Slater off the board here too. So this is going to be 1-2. And soon, Najee Harris is going to be on our board, so you can see him. Ooh, another guy we should talk about tonight is Zaven Collins, who there was talk last week, Tony Pauline of Pro Football Network saying that the Steelers really liked Zaven Collins, another player. We talk about this linebacker class with Parsons and Owusu-Koramoah and Zaven Collins, a player you could put next to Devin Bush. Zaven Collins is a bigger player. Let me bring up his mock draftable here. You can see this. Put this over here. Switch to this. Nope. Switch to this view. There we go. This is a player who is gigantic for the position. 6'4", 260. Ran a 4.6. Great for his position. Again, here's the problem I have with Zaven Collins. He's a big guy. You expect him, when you watch him play, you're like, okay, he's a big guy. He's going to be a monster out there. And while, he's more of a finesse player than you would think for a guy who's 6'4", 260. And so when I think about the kind of player that I want to put next to Devin Bush, and not to say Devin Bush is a finesse player. He's not, but he's a smaller kid, right? So when you talk about, getting caught in trash and whatnot, and when a guard is coming to the second level, obviously Devin Bush is going to struggle in those situations. I think Zaven Collins is also going to struggle in those situations just because the mentality that he has. Can that get coached out of him? Potentially. But, yeah, I mean, Collins is an intriguing player for me. I'm more intrigued, though, by Owusu-Koramoah. And when you look at Owusu-Koramoah, I get that the knock on Owusu-Koramoah is that he's the same kind of guy as Devin Bush, right? Where he's much lighter. You look at his physicals. The weight here is just insane, right? You're talking about his 6'2", 220. Almost the same kind of body type as Devin Bush. He's a little taller, right? But he's very lean, like Devin Bush is. So yeah, you talk about putting that guy next to Devin Bush. It doesn't make a lot of sense, except for the fact that when you turn on Owusu-Koramoah's tape, he's much more physical. The Chargers just took Rashawn Slater. Not a shock there at all. They are in full offensive line rebuild mode. So yeah, I mean, again, we'll keep talking linebacker as the night goes on, as we get closer here, because we talk about Owusu-Koramoah. His time to get taken off the board is coming here. We get into these the teens, especially the late teens and early 20s. He may get taken just before the Steelers are on the clock. Julie, Dolphins at 18, Jets at 23 could take Najee. Yes, I agree. I think those are the two spots where Najee Harris could go off the board. I also think, as I said before, I think that potentially the Bills moving up to get a running back is in play as well, especially for if they value Najee Harris. If the Steelers have been smoke screening this the entire time, let's say the Steelers have been putting out there the entire time, we like Najee, and then they take Travis Etienne, fantastic job. Because no one right now is thinking that if you want Travis Etienne, well, you better get above the Steelers. No, they're all thinking if you want Najee Harris, you got to get above the Steelers. We think that there are teams like the Bills who maybe value a guy like Etienne a little more because the Bills are going for this, the Bills are going for this running back by committee approach. They got Zach Moss, Devin Singletary in the last couple of drafts. Etienne kind of fills out that room with a real game breaker who can beat you on any play. And again, you let him go and he's going for 60, he's going for 70. So if the Steelers were smoke screening it that way, hoping that a team wouldn't come up above them to get Etienne, well, they've done a great job because everyone in the world, and I am 100% convinced that they're going to take Najee Harris if he's on the board, but we shall see. And as Julie points out here, it may be the case that even by the time the Steelers are on the board at 24, Najee is gone to either Miami or the Jets. Eclectic Chiron, the Ravens want Zaven Collins. The Ravens are going to be an interesting case tonight. They have 2 picks, but they've given themselves, they've made a hole for themselves by trading away Orlando Brown. They had to do it because Orlando Brown wanted out. And as we Steeler fans know from the whole Antonio Brown situation, once a guy wants out, just let him out, right? I mean, even the Le'Veon Bell situation, the 2 years that the Steelers went with Le'Veon Bell, not wanting to be there or really just wanting to get paid, right? But, if the Steelers weren't going to pay him, then, he wanted out to go somewhere else to get paid. But regardless, right, these were a couple guys who just did not want to be in Pittsburgh. Well, once that happens, get him out, right? Because, everything that happened in the second half of that 2018 season when AB went crazy, he didn't play against the Bengals, that team lost so many games down the stretch, not worth it, right? So I get why the Ravens wanted to trade Orlando Brown. Did they get enough for him? It averages out to like a mid-second round pick. I thought the compensation was fine. It's weird that they sent him to the Chiefs. But, it gives them a big hole at tackle. And this is a good tackle class, so they could try to replace right away. I think Tevin Jenkins would be a good pick for them. Edge rusher, I think, is another one that they need to take. They need a center as well. They may take a center at the end of into the third round. But Zaven Collins could be an interesting pick for them because they did lose. They lost both their edge rushers. They lost Judon and Ngakoue. And Zaven Collins is an interesting player where he can maybe play both. Jets trade up to 14. Wait, the Jets are trading up. What? This can't be for a running back, right? They can't go running back. Unless they're trading above Arizona? What? If Najee Harris goes right here, it makes it real. I'll say this. It makes it real interesting for the Steelers because now all of a sudden the board is wide open. Okay, so if Najee Harris goes 14, then there was never a chance. Although, so they're trading up from, where were they? They were 23, right? Because they're right before the Steelers. So they're trading up from 23 to 14, 9 spots to get a running back. I'll tell you what, this is my one fear tonight for the Steelers. My one fear. I'm not team running back in the first round. I understand it. I get it. It's where the Steelers have put themselves as an organization. My one fear was that the Steelers would be so in on Najee Harris that they would be the ones to feel like, got to trade up and get him. Got to trade up to get him. You can't trade up to get a running back. Again, the positional value and a team like the Jets, for as many holes as that team has, and I know they just got a quarterback I'm sure they feel like is the future of their franchise. Trading all these assets away now to get a running back, if that's the case, and this could be anyone, because again, that's the Jets are not exactly a loaded roster right now. That's why they were the second overall pick. Ooh, I just got it spoiled for me who they took. I won't say, but yeah. So, that was my one worry. Is that the Steelers would be the team tonight to say, oh, we got to go up and get Najee Harris, right? We can't take a risk here, and we're going to move up. We're going to take Najee Harris at 17 or 18. We're going to trade future picks to do so. Now, Kevin Colbert said on Tuesday he wouldn't do that, right? That they weren't going to be a team looking to move up. I'm glad for that. Because this is a team that, if they are in win now, right? If they're in win right now mode, well, then you got to address this weekend. You got to address running back. You got to address the offensive line, and you got to address corner, and you probably need to address tight end as well. And there's a bunch of depth that this team does not have. Edge. Does anyone remember Cassius Marsh against the Cleveland Browns? They don't want to relive the Cassius Marsh experience against Cleveland when Alex Highsmith went out of that game. That was awful. I mean, it's absolutely awful. So edge rusher, first guy off the bench has to be addressed. I think that's a round 4, one of those 2 4th-round picks. I think that that has to be addressed. Linebacker could be addressed as it's probably more of a luxury, but pairing someone up alongside Devin Bush just gives you an electric middle of the field. Safety depth. Who's behind Terrell Edmonds and Minka right now? It's Antoine Brooks. It's John Battle. Yeah, and I think there's so many holes on this team. We talk about offensive line. I mean, it's tackle and it's center, right? Because yes, they brought in Joe Haig. They brought in Rashad Coward. Those are nice players, but no one's really pushing right now for any of the starting positions on that offensive line. No one right now is pushing B.J. Finney for the center position. That has to come from this draft. No one's pushing either of the tackles right now. Rashad Coward is not doing that, and neither is Joe Haig. And no one's really even pushing Kevin Dotson at left guard. We know how much Mike Tomlin is a 2 dogs, 1 bone type guy, right? The kind of breeding that competition in camp, bringing out the best of people through that. Right now, that offensive line, it kind of just is what it is. So that's why I think a tackle has to be a pick early on. I mean, I think you can't, if we get through the end of tomorrow and the Steelers haven't just addressed center, but they haven't also addressed tackle, it'd be really disappointing to me. Because I think you want someone to push some of these guys, especially a guy like Chooks. Chris saying here we should not trade up, not be a good idea. No, I mean, I think trading up, and especially what are how much is this team giving up? Even if it's only giving up, we saw the Eagles move up from 12 to 10, right? Just 2 picks in this draft, but it was early in the draft, but gave up a 3rd-round pick to do it. I can't. Again, there are too many needs for this team. We talk about days 1 and 2, right? Today and tomorrow. These are players who you expect are going to contribute to this team right now. I mean, we're talking about this team wanting to be a Super Bowl contender. That means right now. Amos saying they definitely took Najee. Again, I had the picks spoiled for me on Twitter. I will not say here because I know a lot of you are watching the broadcast and watching me as a second screen. Appreciate that. I had the Patriots pick spoiled for me too. I might have to get off Twitter. By the way, the broadcast is way behind. So, yeah. New England is no longer on the clock. We are now on to who's after New England. After New England is Arizona. Zone. I guess zone is in play for Najee Harris as well. Outside chance, but still a chance. Oh, I shouldn't have said that because you guys all thought it was the Jets. Well, my apologies. Yeah, it was Najee. All you Najee guys, you're fine. Don't worry about it. You're fine. All right, Elijah Vera Tucker off the board. We're getting there. We're getting close. Najee Harris. Oh, there he is. He's on the board, folks. The Steelers pick is finally on the board. You can finally see him. All right, let's move on here. I'll put New England on the clock here, even though they have technically already selected. So Najee not gone yet. I'll go back over here let's go back over to this screen so we can look through here. Cardinals, is running back a play here? I guess it could be. I think for a team like the Cardinals, again, that'd be a little silly, but I'm not a running back in the 1st round guy, so I'm going to say it's silly for whoever does this in this range. The Raiders just took Josh Jacobs. They're not in that. Miami, yes. Washington, I think could be, even though they took Antonio Gibson a year ago, and he was a very good player. Again, running back by committees, all the rage these days. The Giants have Saquon, Colts have Jonathan Taylor, Titans have Derrick Henry, and now the Vikings here at 23. Oh, this fell perfectly for the Steelers. So if Najee Harris gets past 18, I mean, we can just skip ahead, right? We don't need unless someone moves up. There's literally no one, unless it's Washington. Unless this is Okay, either Arizona takes him, because spoilers, I know the Patriots picking is not Najee. Shocker. So either Miami takes him, either Washington takes him, or someone moves up. Or the Steelers can just fast forward to taking Najee Harris at 24. And by the way, we'll go back over to the chat view, because a lot of you are very, very excited that I see a lot of Najee people in chat today. Worried about the Dolphins? Yeah. I'll be interested. You know, the Dolphins didn't go offensive line with their first pick, right? They went Jalen Waddle. A lot of the thought was that if they went offensive line early, they could go Najee here and then wide receiver in the second round, right? Or wide receiver later on in the draft. Because this is, you know, wide receiver early on in a class. I mean, you know, wide receiver is so deep every year. The Steelers got Chase Claypool at, what, 50-something last year? And Chase Claypool, while he wasn't the best wide receiver as a rookie last year, because Justin Jefferson was, but he was like top 3, right? It was him, T. Higgins, and Justin Jefferson. So, yeah. Wide receiver early is, and I get it, you know, these guys you're drafting early on have insane traits. It's crazy to see us sweat a single player when we have the 24th pick. So what the Steelers do. You know, it was William Jackson, what was that, 5-6 years ago now? That was long. That was like 2015, so 6 years ago. William Jackson then. Devin Bush 2 years ago. It's funny how Steeler fans can go into a draft and basically just, you know, we're all there like living with the war room because we all know who the Steelers want. It's been relative. I think the one draft where Steeler fans were legitimately shocked, the one recent draft, where the Steeler fans were legitimately shocked by their first-round pick was Terrell Edmunds. No one saw that coming. No one did. And the reason why none of us saw it coming is because we all thought that he was a third-round pick. You know, so no one saw that one coming. Yeah, we'll see. No Limit says I like Gaskin. We'll see how much the Dolphins like Gaskin. Team chase all the way. They did not take Penei. As I said on AFC North Talk, I'm not sure that there was a bad pick for them to make. Like, you know, giving Joe Burrow more weapons, that's a good thing. Giving him a stud left tackle for the next 15 years, that's also a good thing. All right, so Mac Jones goes to New England. They get their quarterback of the future. The most controversial quarterback of this class goes to New England. I wish him absolutely no luck. And I hope they're 6-10 for the remainder of his career. But yeah, no quarterbacks are going to be on the clock for the Steelers. So let's just pray that the Kyle Trask rumors are not real. The Kellen Mond rumors are not real, and the Steelers don't reach on a quarterback at 24. But if Najee's there, this is not even going to be a question. I guess the only thing here is Zona, and there's 2 picks left, right? This pick right here, which I guess I need to change. Yeah, Mac Jones is the Patriot. Is that a good thing? By the way, chat, that's a good thing, right? I understand that, you know, some of us are probably disappointed that New England got a quarterback out of this class, but I think we can all agree Mac Jones is the worst of the 5 and probably the most likely to bust out of the 5. So to me, when I think about it, I think it's a good thing. Wondering what you guys think. But yeah, Mac Jones goes to the Patriots. Also, what has not happened yet, and probably won't happen now, is the rumor that was Aaron Rodgers to Denver, which I was kind of worried about because when you think about the Steelers wanting to be a team that, this is a team that wants to win now. Well, you know, adding Aaron Rodgers to your conference is not going to help the situation. So that hasn't happened though. I mean, he's likely to stay in Green Bay at least for tonight. You know, the problem for Green Bay is it's the salary cap. Aaron Rodgers picked a bad year to want to get traded. No Limit says, I'm not scared of him when it comes to Mac Jones. Bill is a genius. He's a genius, but he has his limits, right? As we saw last year. He has his limits. Like, he had Cam Newton. Cam got COVID. He wasn't the same guy after that. They had a ton of opt-outs. There's definitely issues there. And Fred's saying, yeah, it's a good thing. I agree. Yeah. I think the fact that the Patriots didn't trade up to get a Trey Lance. They didn't trade up to get a Justin Fields. Guys who I feel more comfortable with. as just as quarterback prospect. No, look, and obviously Bill Belichick, best coach of all time, yada yada. I understand that, but giving him a guy like that, one of the more sure things in this, just it means that we're going to have another Patriots, whether it's a dynasty or just we're going to have another run of the Patriots being good that I don't want to have to deal with. So happy to see this. Let me actually shoot a message here. Because the Steelers are going to be picking here in, 8 picks. We got 8 more picks for the Steelers. So potentially, I would guess we have another, hour to go. It's 10:15 Eastern time. I think we probably have another hour to kill. We still don't know Zona's pick. Again, Zona's one of those two that, if Najee Harris is going to go, it's here in Miami. So, be interested to see what Zona's pick here is. Let's see what my cheat sheet here had for Zona. Waddle, Devonta Smith, Patrick Surtain, J.C. Horn. Nope. None of those guys. Let's see what else they said. Davin Collins, Elijah Vera Tucker, no. Trade down, Elijah Moore, Caleb Farley, Kadarius Toney. Wow, so they didn't have Najee Harris at all. There's always an outside chance because I think they still have... do they still have Kenyon Drake on their roster? Let me look up the Arizona Cardinals. I have not followed the Arizona Cardinals in their offseason moves this year, so I'm not sure who they have at the running back position currently. I know they did have Kenyon Drake. No, they no longer have Kenyon Drake. Oh, they just brought in James Conner. What am I talking about? What am I talking about? They just brought in Connor. What does Arizona need? Yeah, I was just looking at that. Looking at their roster right now, I can do we could do a fun look together. You can look at their roster. I'll pull this up on the other screen. This is their roster here. Okay, I guess I can make this bigger. Let's see if I can make this big enough so you guys can see it. So, at running back, Benjamin Edmonds, and then they just added James Conner. Cardinals are picking right now. Let's see what this is. I don't imagine this is a running back. They just got Conner. They took Zavin Collins. Hey, the cheat sheet was right. How about that? The cheat sheet nailed it. Let's go here back to the chat. Darisaw to Zona. No, it ended up being Zavin Collins. How about that? Yeah, the NFL Network is saying, jumbo athlete, instinctive in coverage. And those are all things. He plays like more of a finesse linebacker. Good in coverage, but, you want him to stop the run game. You want to be a big physical linebacker at 260 pounds. And you're like, you play like you're 210. And the guy who's 220 plays like he's 260. It's a weird class. It's a weird class. All right, let me try to mark here. Let me try to find Zavin Collins. Mark him as being drafted. He will come off the list. So as we look at the big board here, we look, for me, as I start thinking about which players are in play for the Steelers that are not Najee Harris. Again, let's imagine a world where it wasn't completely obvious to everyone watching this stream right now who the Steelers were going to take at 24. Owusu Koromoa, to me, boy, I'd have a hard time passing on Owusu Koromoa if he's there. Same thing for Tevin Jenkins. I just love Tevin Jenkins' game. I love the physicality he plays with. And when you talk about wanting to fix your running game through mentality, through when you heard this from Adrian Clem, the new offensive line coach. You want to be more physical. The problem for this team is they lost their physicality. Well, you take Tevin Jenkins today, you take Landon Dickerson tomorrow, and you have started on your way. And by the way, you got Zach Banner coming back a year from now. Pay and Barmore, while these are two players that, yes, Tomlin and Colbert saw, I don't think either of these guys are actually in play. They went to Michigan likely to see Jalen Mayfield, and they went to Alabama to see a guy we're going to talk about here in a second, Najee Harris. But, yeah, I don't think these guys are in play. Greg Newsome, Terrell Austin, potentially at that one. I think it was either Austin or Adrian Clem at the Northwestern Pro Day. Newsome's a good corner, but I don't think he's in play in round one because of the whole Tomlin and Colbert thing. Owe, the Steelers were at Penn State. I think likely to see Freiermuth and Micah Parsons, not Owe. Edge rushers in a need for the Steelers, but not this early. Najee Harris, we all know about. And by the way, we talk about Najee Harris and, how much the Steelers like him, right? You go back through these players, Wosu Koromoa, Tomlin and Colbert were there. They interviewed Tevin Jenkins, right? Tomlin and Colbert were at these pro days. Terrell Austin at this one. Najee Harris's pro day. Tomlin and Colbert were there. The offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, was there. And running back coach, Eddie Faulkner, was there. This is why it's so obvious to everyone that the Steelers so covet. I mean, they made it very, very obvious from the beginning that was going to be the pick. So, Eclectic Tyrone says, as a Ravens fan, I am upset. Yeah, I mean, Zaven Collins, I guess, was kind of on the radar there. Again, though, as I think about what the Ravens are going to be looking for tonight, wide receiver, edge, offensive line, I think are the 3 picks. And as Sonny from AFC North Talk and SCG Sports pointed out to me the other day, safety wouldn't be a crazy choice for them as well. But this is a good linebacker class. I think you're right to be upset that you missed out on a prospect like that because I think of the 3 guys, look, as much as I think Zaven Collins might not be right for the Steelers system, I think he's going to be a good pro. And when you look back at the rookie that the Ravens took last year, yeah, he didn't have a great rookie year. But you don't want to write a guy off after 1 year, but didn't have a great year last year. All right, going back through this, Sam Cosmi. Sam Cosmi, I don't know who went to Texas's pro day. There was someone there. It's one of the scouts. As Alex Kozora has reported, but could not identify who that was. I have a feeling though it was one of whether it was a position coach, whether it was or whether it was one of the top scouts on the team. I have a feeling someone went to Texas just given the other prospects they've looked at. Cosmi's another guy like Jenkins, very physical at the point of attack. Probably gets away with it because he's so strong. He's not as technically sound, but he can just get away with it. This is another guy where once he gets his hands on you, unless you are one of these elite guys with as an edge rusher with a plan, I mean, once Cosmi gets his hand on you, you're going for a ride. So Clem would have to have would certainly have his hands full with Cosmi as far as the technical side of playing offensive line. But you just talking about traits. The traits you want from offensive linemen: quick feet, good hands, good base, good at the point of attack, good upper body strength. You can't miss with Sam Cosmi. All right, let's get back through chat here. Let me look through the chat. Max Holcomb saying, and this is about Zaven Collins, at least he won't be a Raven or Brown. It's true. Although for the Browns, I think Owusu Koromoa is Owusu Koromoa is a bigger concern than Zaven Collins was. Ravens for Zaven Collins probably made a little more sense, but for me, I'm hoping Owusu Koromoa doesn't fall that far. Let me change here to put Las Vegas on the clock. That is who is picking now, and then Miami will be picking. Let me back through here. I'm getting stoked for Harris to get past the Finns and Jets. Well, the Jets have already picked, as No Limit says here. So the Jets are no longer a threat. Unless they're going to move up again to get another pick before the Steelers, they're not going to be a concern here. I think the concern is 2 teams at this point. They're both in the AFC East. I think you have to be concerned about the Dolphins, who are on the clock currently. And I think you have to be concerned about the Buffalo Bills potentially moving ahead of the Steelers. A trade with a team like Tennessee or Minnesota could be in the cards for them. Probably more likely Tennessee, because Minnesota has just traded down once before. That was with the New York Jets, so maybe they don't want to trade down again. The other thing we need to start talking about, and I want to get your take on this, should the Steelers trade down? If Najee Harris is still there, let's say there is no running backs taken yet. I know we Steeler fans covet Najee Harris. We see Le'Veon Bell all over again. We look at a guy who's, this guy's a 25 carry a game guy. You don't have to take him off the field on third down. He's dependable, doesn't fumble. He's got everything you want out of a running back. But if all 3 guys are still there, and we talk about all the needs this team has, moving back in this draft, I think might be the best option. Yes, you might miss out on Najee Harris. Yes, you might have to go with an ETN or a Javonte Williams. Alex Leatherwood goes to the Raiders. The Raiders are always the team because Mike Mayock, he's like the PFF. Mike Mayock is the PFF of general managers. His big board is just different from everybody else's. Yeah, you guys all have Tevin Jenkins ranked as one of the best tackles, Sam Cosmi as one of the best tackles. I do not. I have Alex Leatherwood. So congratulations. Leatherwood, I thought, would be a nice player for the Steelers tomorrow. I like Leatherwood. There's talk about Leatherwood. Is he more of a guard than he is a tackle? He got worked over at the Senior Bowl. No doubt about that. But I still look at his physical traits. I look at his quickness off the line of scrimmage. Yes, things break down for him after the snap. But, again, he's got great feet. He's got great hands. He's got all the physical traits you want from a top left tackle in this league. I think he's going to be a quality player. Andrew Tate saying it's legit 3:30 for me and the school tomorrow, but the draft. Hey, listen, this is what I don't like about the draft these days, and I don't know if many of you are with me on this, but I preferred the draft when it was Saturday, Sunday, when it was a weekend thing. For us on the East Coast, when it started at noon. I guess no, at that point I was living in Chicago, so I was Central Time. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. The draft would start at noon or 11 a.m., something like that, and it would go all the way to the night. I mean, you were talking about 12 hours on the first day, rounds 1, 2, and 3 on Thursday, or excuse me, on Saturday. I want to talk about not Thursday, on Saturday, and then Sunday was rounds 4 through 7. It was like 12 to 6 or something like that. Oh, I love those days. A full weekend out of it. Now it's, I get the primetime thing is fun, but like you talked about, you got school, I got work tomorrow, right? I'm going to be doing this. The Steelers aren't going to pick until 11 o'clock. I'll probably stay on likely through the end of the first round just to see who the Ravens take. And then I'll probably do a video for this tonight to get it out on YouTube, to get my thoughts out there. Probably do a video for AFC North Talk as well. So I probably not, I'm definitely not getting to bed before 1 o'clock at all. I mean, there's just no chance. All right, let's get back through. At least be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 100% agree with this. If you want to do the primetime thing, and it has to be this way, do the first round on Friday, rounds 2 and 3 on Saturday, and then rounds 4 through 7 on Sunday. 100% agree with this. And Andrew says the same thing. We can all agree on this. The Thursday part of this is silly. Tonight is the dumbest night, because first of all, it's the most important night. It's the one night none of us want to miss. By the way, the pick is in for Miami. Hold our breath. Everyone hold our collective breath. Come on. It's not Najee Harris. Is it Najee Harris? If it's not Najee Harris, then we trade down. Here we go. Is it Najee Harris? Will the Steelers get lucky? Because if it's not Najee Harris, the only question is, will someone move ahead of the Steelers to get him? And by the way, if it's not Najee Harris, no one needs a running back, and I'm going to start screaming from the hilltops to trade down, trade down, trade down, trade down. All right. We're going to have a guest here in a second. I'm going to try and get him on. We're going to have a guest on here in a minute. Going to have my friend Chris Carter on the show. Excited to have Chris on. But before we do that, let's get to the Dolphins selection. Here we are. The Dolphins are selecting right now. Roger Goodell announcing. I'm going to turn it up.
The Miami Dolphins select
Woo! Jalen Phillips, it's an edge rusher. Okay, so that's it. We're off the list. We're done here. Everyone go home. The Steelers are going to take Najee Harris. It's just not it's not even a question anymore. The question now is trade back. Trade back, trade back, trade back, trade back, trade back, get assets, trade back, take a running back. I don't care who it is. Take a running back, that's fine. Trade back and get assets. Every single one of your running backs is going to be there. Steelers, just trade back. Let me see if I can get Chris on here. All right, let's do a video call with Chris. Oh, where'd my headphones go? You guys probably don't want to hear that, the ringing, huh? All right. You can be on camera if you want. You can do camera, you can do audio. All right. Let me add you as a source. Chris, welcome to Steeler Country for the second time you were on the show? Second. There we go. Second time. Happy to have you. All right, let's get. Woo. All right, let me get you in your little box here. So the Dolphins have just selected. They did not take Najee Harris, which means it's over, right? This draft is over. We can all go home as Steeler fans. That's it. Pack it up. This is Najee Harris. It's Najee Harris. Yeah. Oh, wait, hold on, Chris. They can't hear you. Hold on 1 second. I don't know why they can't hear you, but they can't hear you. Yep. I'm fixing it. Yeah. I can hear you, but I have the setup I have. All right, talk now.
Checking 1, 2, 3.
Okay, they can hear you now. They can hear you.
All right, yeah.
Woo! All right, so as Chris was saying, we're going home for the night. Najee Harris is definitely the pick, but Chris, you had another player in mind potentially not named Najee Harris at 24.
Christian Darrisaw still being there is very intriguing. I didn't think Rashawn Slater would fall all the way down to the Chargers. I was like, what?
Yeah.
That was crazy. So now you're sitting here and you're like, all right, what's next now? Now there's still Washington. There's still teams that could get the Giants. I could see them that would be a Christian Darrisaw type. Like, you boost up your offensive line right now. The Colts are another team who could get him. But right now, I mean, the Najee Harris. This was why I was projected. There's just so many other talents. 5 quarterbacks went off the board in 15 picks.
Yeah.
The cornerbacks rushed. I did not think that the Cowboys would miss out on both Horn and Surtain.
Missed out entirely.
Yeah, craziness. Elijah Vera Tucker being off the board. This was what I was saying, is that the running back, I think this is just the perfect year. The running back's going to fall that far, and you're going to get your pick of those guys and still have all the depth at the other positions that exist this year in the second round. Right now, the Steelers, they're still on track for if you've been on the get a running back train, you're still doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, okay, so are you ready? So I'm trying to start a hype train here, Chris. In fact, right before you joined, I was starting a hype train with chat. Mm-hmm. Are you ready to jump on board the trade down hype train? Okay, I know Najee's going to be there.
I've been on the trade down hype train. I started the trade down hype train. What are you talking about? I'm the conductor.
All right, I'm happy. Chris, will you allow me to join?
Yes. You get to shovel the coal into the engine and keep it going.
Come on now. Let's be a little respectful.
But in all seriousness, I've been advocating for this. The Saints could get really itchy if they're still at 28, right? They're not one of the teams that have traded.
No. They're still there. Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. The Saints are still at 28.
If Caleb Farley is still available at 24. Mm-hmm. Or Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Those are 2 guys I could see the Browns taking.
Yeah.
And who the Saints might be like, no. We want our pick of those guys.
Yeah.
And I could totally see them saying, hey, Steelers, here's a second, here's a third, here's something.
Right.
We need to jump ahead of the Browns. And if you're the Steelers, I mean, the Browns aren't going to take another running back that's tough. That's tough to pass up. But I mean, from what I've heard, the Steelers are super duper high on Najee Harris. Outside of just being a player, they love him as a person. Right. They think he's a leader. They think he's the guy that fits the mold of not just being the Steelers running back, but the Steelers type of guy.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time seeing, unless someone gives them something ridiculous, I have a hard time seeing them just be like, yeah, we'll pass it up. But I'm all for you. This draft is way too deep on day 2 to not want to have at least 3 picks. And they'd be fine with 2, right, Tony? But 3 would be great.
Well, I mean, yeah, you just keep adding for tomorrow. Yeah, you're absolutely right, because you look at the needs that this team has, and yes, running back is as big a need as maybe the biggest need this team has. Just when you look at the talent on the roster today, you need to get a running back that can play and play right away. You don't want another guy you have to develop over a couple years. But cornerback, as much as I'm on the James Pierre hype train, there's only 11 snaps of James Pierre right now. Maybe I'm not ready to see him start day 1. So, you're going to need a corner at some point in this draft. I think we can agree a center has to come in this draft because, BJ Finney has been a reliable Steeler for many years, but not a reliable starter. And then, I would say edge rusher has to come at some point.
Jamin Davis going to Washington.
Yeah. So Owusu-Koramoah is falling.
Yeah. And this was what I was saying, man. His tape, he looks very explosive. He's fast, but he don't take on the run well.
Yeah.
And I think teams, they know they need to stop the run, and that's sitting there.
Do you think it's also a thing with him? I think when I look, the other thing when you look at him is like, what is he? Because he's a linebacker, but he's kind of also a safety, and he can probably play in the slot a little bit. But then it's okay. He played in the slot at Notre Dame, but how much does that really translate to the National Football League? Right? Yeah, he played. Okay, he played in the nickel there, but you're not going to put him in the nickel against Tyler Boyd, right? You're not going to put him out there against Jarvis Landry in this division. I'm still intrigued by Wosu Koromoa. I am really high on him because I like the idea of what Mike Tomlin loves, that position flexibility, and you put him next to Bush and Minka and T.J. Watt. But I understand why he's falling in this draft. The only team, Chris, that I'm worried about him going to, his fit with the Browns seems really interesting to me. What that team needs.
They need a presence in the middle of their field who can fly all over. Mac Wilson ain't it. I think they figured that out.
Yep.
But
there's Taki or all the guys that they try to hype up. Yeah.
They've tried for years to get that guy. Now, here's the thing. Again, this is why I think the Saints could also use that guy. This is why the Saints may be like, yo, Steelers, help us out.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be an interesting position to be in if you're the Steelers, because then you're sitting there saying, do we gamble that Najee Harris or our guy survives 4 more picks to fall down to there and get that payback? I mean, that's tough to pass up, man.
Yeah,
this year. But
I was gonna say, how far down the draft would you trade down if you're Kevin Colbert? Like, would you go? I know you're talking about 28, right? You got the Bills at 30, which is another team clearly interested in a running back at some point, early on in this draft. And then, would you go down? Like, I'm looking at Tampa at 32 now. Obviously, Tampa has to want to move up in order for you to move down to 32.
Yeah.
But I look at that, you look at moving down 8 spots in the draft. That could net you easily a 3rd-round pick, potentially more than just a 3rd-round pick. And I look at the teams in between the Steelers and Buccaneers right now, and there's only one team that really values a running back in that spot. So you're likely, the Bills, are they going to go with Najee Harris? Would they probably go ETN because they're going more running back by committee? ETN is their game breaker. You maybe still could end up with Najee Harris at 32.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Jaguars would stick with James Robinson, and they try to add another, maybe an explosive receiver. Rashad Bateman's still out there.
Yep.
The Browns, they're loaded at running back. The Ravens, they just drafted
Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins. The Saints have, you're trading with here's the thing. If you trade with the Saints, I think you get Najee Harris anyway.
Right. Well, how worried should Steelers fans be right now about a team trading? So, because it's so obvious, right? We're sitting on here, we've known all day that the Steelers are going to take Najee Harris. How worried should Steelers fans be right now about a team potentially moving ahead of the Steelers, knowing that they're so interested?
A little worried. I mean, I don't think overly. I think a team like the Bills or a team like the Buccaneers could do it. And I know the Buccaneers got Fournette and Ronald Jones, but they may be like, what if we went and got the guy who is like the ultimate version of everything?
Right. No more running back by committee. You got a guy now.
Yeah, you got a guy now. And then the thing is that you'd have a guy and you'd have 2 dudes who you felt very comfortable subbing in at any point in time. And Tom Brady, we know he loved him just throwing it to running backs out the backfield. Man, that's tough. I would give it a 10% chance for a team to trade ahead of the Steelers to get Najee Harris. That's the other thing about here, Tony. It's not just about people knowing the Steelers want him. Do people want to lose picks to get a running back?
Yeah. And, is the one thing I was talking about this earlier. I was kind of worried about the Steelers, knowing how much they really valued Najee Harris in this draft class. I was worried that they were going to be the team, with all the needs that they have, but still, they know they want a running back to move up. They haven't done that yet. Doesn't seem like they're going to need to. They'll sit pat at 24 and get their guy. When you look at Najee Harris versus the other 2 running backs, right? I've already talked about this with the chat a little bit, but there's clearly a tier 1 and tier 2 of running backs in this class. But do you consider Najee Harris even a class above the other 2? Like, if Najee Harris goes off the board here, is running back still in play at 24? At that point, do you look to the offensive line? Do you look somewhere else?
If Christian Darrisaw is still there and Najee Harris is gone, I would go. I would think I would go Christian Darrisaw there.
Okay.
But Najee Harris himself, I do think is in that class by himself. But it's not. it's not like I'm trying to find a good comparison to this year's. It's not like Elijah Vera Tucker and then all the other guards and centers, right?
Right.
It's it's like if Najee Harris is at the top, but ATN and Javonte Williams are each only like a couple steps down, like one or two, and but the thing is those are really impressive steps that he's taken in his game. His vision, to me, Tony, is unparalleled. And that's the thing. And I said this on Channel 11. I was on WPXI tonight giving my pre-draft analysis where I predicted the Steelers would pick Najee Harris. And my thing was that it's like all those 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 situations where you just see Benny Snell just running into people and just being like, I'm just going to plunge forward. And he didn't have the strength to do that.
Yep.
Najee Harris is going to, 1, be strong enough to win those battles, but 2, also make smarter decisions in those moments because he did that all throughout his career at Alabama. And I know people are going to say, well, Alabama has the best offensive line. I'm telling you, there were times when their offensive line was blown up and he still found a way to make play. Heck, the hurdle play where he jumped over the guy at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Look at that play and how far back Alabama's line got pushed and how he said, I'm going to buy my time. Okay, quickly accelerate, jump over this 6-foot guy, and then keep going. Like, that's the kind of guy that Najee Harris is. He's that special. Again, I'm not saying just draft a running back to draft a running back because a lot of people are saying you can't draft the running back in the first round. I don't buy that hype train. If the value is there, and I think it is for Najee Harris this late in the draft, you take it.
Are there any players that
someone else is there
for you? Like, is Darrisaw for you above Najee Harris right now, or are you Najee Harris all the way?
I get Christian Darrisaw. I'm a 50-50 guy. Okay, here's my thing. On my big board, I had right around here Caleb Farley and Christian Darrisaw were the only 2 guys who I listed above Najee Harris on my last big board that I did. And Caleb and like those are both asterisks right now because for some reason both of those guys have fallen pretty far. And Caleb Farley, you got the question marks with the injuries, and the Giants get Kadarius Toney. So that's interesting.
The Giants took Kadarius Toney. Okay.
Yeah, they just took. So that's another receiver off the board, Florida guy.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay, so we're getting really interesting here.
I'm team trade down all the way because there's so many good players available. Like I know
there are.
I know you're bought in all the way on running back. See, I really like Tevin Jenkins. Obviously you can't dislike Darrisaw. The only issue with Darrisaw being taken in the first round is he would be the first player since Ziggy Hood that the Tomlin and Colbert did not get a look at him at the pro day.
Right.
So he would break that trend. Although there's been a lot of rumors about the Steelers breaking that trend this year. I mean, Tevin Jenkins, even if they took Tevin Jenkins, he would be that guy as well as David Collins would have been that guy.
Tony, one thing when I talk to other Steelers writers and guys like Dale Lawley and the Jerry Dulac, one thing they pointed out to me was like, well, Chris, look at who most of those guys that they pick are from. It's not like a lot of those picks are the Tulsas, are the right. The Grambling states. They're the Ohio states, the Floridas, the major schools that every year they go to anyways.
Yeah. And
it's like, like Missouri is the one. And when I was looking, I was like, well, yeah, you'd always go to Miami for Artie Burns. You'd always go to the SEC. You'd always go to Ohio State. So like I'm not sure how much that rule is as much a rule as it is just the Steelers generally pick from these major schools because a lot of people do.
Yeah, it's a great point because I think Tomlin brought this up. I had this written down from his press conference and I think we may see this a lot this weekend, just as a just as a rule for this weekend. He said, this is a year where, without the tape, we have to lean on existing coaching relationships. Tomlin talking about existing coaching relationships that he has at the college level. And that's why I think when you look at the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the Clemsons, the Michigans, I think you are likely to see more than one of those schools, have a Steeler, become a Steeler because those are the schools that, like you said, the Steelers kind of lean on those kind of big programs. Tomlin, Colbert can count on those guys to develop NFL caliber talent. They've done really well doing so far, right? I mean, Cam Hayward's Ohio State, Devin Bush, Michigan. I think you're right on that one. We are just 3 or 4 picks away now from the Steelers being on the clock. Chris, are you going to be doing any other live shows tonight after the Steelers pick?
I think Locked On is going to try to have me on. Actually, no. We stopped that tonight because there was something going on. But no, it's right now. If you want to follow my comments, go to dkpittsburghsports.com. It's not video, but it's a live streaming of comments. It's a live file, so you can you'll see my comments, Dejan Kovacevic, Dale Lawley's, all of our analysis, pick by pick. and then you can also comment with the other people there. It's been a fun night, man. We've been sharing our things. I want to point out that right now I am 6-3 over Dale Lally in our dueling first round mock drafts. I'm crushing him. So get out of here.
I'll tell you what. Six correct picks in a draft like this, where it got wacky. Pretty early on, is like you talked about the corners getting taken. What was it, 8-9? I think a lot of people saw that coming. So congratulations on that one. And I think you mocked Najee Harris to the Steelers at 24, right?
I did. So if that happened, that'd be 7 picks. Because right now I have, let's go back. So I got Trevor Lawrence, of course, Zach Wilson, of course. I went for Justin Fields with the Niners. I was like, I just couldn't see Mac Jones, and I thought that there might be a smoke screen there, but I was wrong. But I got Kyle Pitts to the Falcons. I went Penei Sewell to the Bengals, but I got Waddle to the Dolphins. So that's 4. And then I think the next one I got. I had Devontae Smith going to the Eagles just at 12, but they traded up to get him. But still, that counts. And then Mac Jones to the Patriots. So those have been my correct picks so far.
You had Mac Jones to the Patriots?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I looked at how enamored Bill Belichick was with Jimmy G in his time with the Patriots, and I just Mac Jones just looks like a Jimmy G clone. Yeah. Like he does things that he's supposed to do when he has the talent and the play in front of him. But I'm not wowed by the guy. Yeah. And I was like, that's who Belichick wants. Right. And lo and behold, that's who we got.
I wish them a lot of 6-10 together. I wish them a lot of 6-10 together.
I don't know if you saw my posting of the meme when the Bears picked Justin Fields and Steelers fans were sad everywhere. And I posted the Alonzo Mourning meme where he's kind of I'm like, Steelers fans, when they realize that Justin Fields is a Bear, but then when they realize that he's not a Patriot. And I'm like, that's a lot better, right? That was the nightmare.
How much consideration did you give to the idea that the Steelers could move? Once Fields got to 11, when do you think was the time when, okay, maybe the Steelers need to start thinking about moving up to get him?
If he had gotten to past 15, because I don't think the Patriots would have allowed that to happen. Yeah. If it had gotten to 15, if it had gotten past 15 for some reason, I think they would have gotten on the phones.
Yeah.
And just at least assessed what it took, and maybe they were on the phones this whole time just to see what it was, just to scale what they would have lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, but this is why I was saying all the jump. It's a great dream, guys, but Justin Fields just ain't gonna fall that far. And the Bears trading up to get him just made too much sense. Looks like the Colts pick is in here.
You say it made too much sense for the Bears, but the Bears are the team that traded up. What was it? They traded up to get Trubisky years back.
Jeez.
In the same draft as Deshaun Watson and Mahomes. So I was worried that they were going to do the same thing again and do a trade up for Mac Jones. But they did the right thing.
Right, and then the Patriots would have gotten Justin Fields.
Right. Well, no. See, then it's we need to get on the phone with Kevin Colbert and let him know, don't let this happen, whatever it takes.
Don't let this happen, whatever you do.
Because, one thing I was pointing out, and I don't remember how far the Steelers had to move up last time. I think it was about 14 picks, though. It was around there. When they traded up to get Devin Bush, they traded up to 10. They gave up a second rounder, a first, a second, and next year's third, and it was a compensatory pick for Le'Veon. And the Steelers have the compensatory pick coming for Bud. So, if they could have worked out a similar deal, now I don't know how much the Bears gave up. It could have been more than that to move up to 11, but,
Whoa, Koromoa to the Colts.
Okay, good. This is good because not to the Browns. Yeah. So this works out.
Holy shit. Pardon my language.
You're fine.
Darius Leonard and JOK? Ugh, that's a nasty combination. By the way, how do you feel about Caleb Farley still being on the board real quick? I'm very intrigued, man. I'm very intrigued.
See, because he kind of falls in line with Landon Dickerson, right? Where you watch the tape and you go, okay, well, this guy is incredible. The question is all around the medical stuff. Because I think if Landon Dickerson didn't have the medical problems, he might be the pick today over even a Najee Harris.
Actually, I agree totally with that sentiment. First of all, I actually think he'd be off the board by now.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Someone else would have picked him.
That's probably true.
But I know I agree, and I've said that a lot. If Landon Dickerson was just a healthy Landon Dickerson with the things that he could do, I would be on board to get him in the first round. Worry about running back in the second. But he's just the injury concerns are just too much, and I kind of have that myself for Caleb Farley. I kind of just Senquez Golson is just living in my nightmares. Mm-hmm. And it's just, imagine Senquez Golson, but with the first round pick and you passed on Najee Harris for him. Do you want to go through that again? Or you want to get the guy who looks healthy, is exactly what you need, perfect fit, great character dude, and everything you want in the world.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that, and I think and I talked about this earlier in the night, right? It's where the Steelers are right now.
I might have been wrong. I was wrong. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's not a Wusu-Koramoah. Well,
they went with Kwity Paye.
Kwity.
So whoever told me was wrong.
Okay. All right. We'll mark Kwity
Michigan
Paye
passer. Hold on. Let me make sure who's right here, because someone. Okay, yeah. Ian Rappaport says Colts. Whoever said this on my feed here was lying. So thank you, person who lied and fooled me. Kwity Paye is the pick.
Okay. Yeah, Kwity Paye is an interesting player, but the Steelers aren't. I think the Steelers are going to be in the line for an edge rusher. It's probably day 3. You think?
Yeah, yeah. I'd say unless someone they feel is like if Joe Tryon falls to the 3rd round, okay, yeah, they'll go get that guy.
Yeah.
I love him out of Washington. I think he would be an excellent pick, and a rotational guy with Alex Highsmith. I'd be like, yo, Alex, take a 2-play breather. This dude's coming on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say day 3 with all their needs. I said I did this in one of my most recent mocks. In fact, in my last dueling mock, who did I pick for the Steelers? I had them going. And a few of my recent mocks, I had the Steelers go all offense day 1 and 2. And in this one, I did the same. So in my last mock, I had Quinn Miners being the Steelers' 2nd round pick and Walker Little from the tackle from Stanford being their 3rd round pick.
Walker Little's an interesting player, yeah, because we haven't seen him in 2 years, but when the last we did see him, he was good. He was a good player.
He was pretty good. And I know the Steelers said we're not looking at guys that didn't play as much, but that'd be tough. Like where he was in the simulator that I was using.
You got him in the 3rd. You said you got him in the 3rd round.
3rd to 87. Yeah, didn't even budge.
Yeah, look, the Steelers took Okorafor in the 3rd round. He was a bit of a project. You could do a lot. I think Walker Little. Yeah, I mean, he's a project in that we haven't seen him on film for 2 years.
Also, Tony, I think it's locked. Najee Harris is going to be there. You got the Titans with Derrick Henry and the Vikings with Dalvin Cook. They're not, unless someone trades up with them.
Got to be a trade.
He's going to be there.
The only way is Buffalo trades up at this point. I think that's the only way that Najee Harris isn't on the board. Which once again, I'm on team trade down because I look at this board now. And look, I understand why. I talked about this earlier in the night, right? The Steelers want Najee Harris as much as they do because they are in a very unique situation where they have their franchise quarterback in the final year here. It is the last run, and they have to improve a running game last year that wasn't just bad; it was the worst in the NFL. And you need a quick fix to that. We could talk about investing in the offensive line, and let's fix that over a couple of years. The Steelers don't have a couple of years, right? They need to get rich quick. Right now, so and the way to do that is to get a running back that can do it even if your offensive line isn't going to be a great offensive line. And I don't think it's going to be a great offensive line, but you bring in Matt Canada, you bring in Adrian Clem, you change the schematics around there, you change the coaching, try to make it more physical, and you're going to add some talent. But
I'd also argue that a lot of those games that Le'Veon Bell blew up, the Steelers' offensive line wasn't destroying people. It was just that he was being Le'Veon Bell.
Well, he was. Yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean, Le'Veon Bell was one of the best backs in the league. It's hard for me. I know the traits for Najee and Le'Veon are very similar. It is hard for me though to compare the two players because of how good Le'Veon ended up being at this level. But
that's who I think they're getting. This is the first guy off the board. He has the pedigree. He has the explosiveness, the athleticism, the size, the character. I think that's why I'm so high on him. Like this isn't just me saying go get a running back just to get a running back. This is because I think he's that guy. Right. Like I was okay with them passing on J.K. Dobbins last year. I'd be okay with them passing on Najee Harris if they get another guy on my big board that I think is of that value. But this is it's a perfect fit right now. I don't see passing on.
What about Jerry Dulac's tweet earlier today? He said, if you want a sleeper for tonight, it's Pat Freiermuth.
Oh God, I would. Okay, I have a cup here of Pepsi. I'm going to throw it at my TV if it's Pat Freiermuth.
Well, we hope you won't have to be throwing anything in the next couple minutes here. Again, the Steelers are going to be picking here. It seems like in the next 10, 20 minutes. Chris, I know you got some work to do for DK tonight. Going to let you go. Thank you for joining me. Let people know where they can find your work.
Please go to DKPittsburghSports.com. I'm going to have an immediate write-up on Najee Harris and then a film room on Najee Harris because I know he's going to be the pick.
I mean, it's like, you start writing it now. Just start writing. You already have it.
I already got a picture that I queued up.
You should already have it written. It's a done deal. It's a lock. Seal it.
But do check me out on DKPittsburghSports.com. We're gonna have a ton of great content that's right there. So Dale Lawley's going to be covering the pick. I'm going to be covering the pick. We'll have Tom Reed writing a deeper piece about the guy, and then we'll have you all through the rest of the draft. So if you want great draft coverage, that's what it's about. So,
all right.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, thank you for joining me, and I will be on Locked On Steelers on Tuesday, so you can check me out there on Chris's show on Tuesday. Chris, thanks again for coming on.
Thank you.
All right. There you have it. I got to update my board here. Love having Chris on the show, by the way. Chris, for those of you who did not watch or listen to Locked On Steelers back in the day, Chris and I co-hosted that show for a year. He is now the sole host of that show. I am on there on Tuesdays. Fantastic show. If you are a diehard Steeler and you are not listening to Locked On Steelers on a daily basis, do yourself a favor. Go to iTunes. Hit the subscribe button on Locked On Steelers. It's the best show. It's daily. He does it 5 days a week. And I give him a ton of credit for that because I did Locked On Steelers as a host, again, with him for a year, and before that, solo. The amount of work, the amount of effort that it takes to do something like that is incredible. And so Chris does a fantastic job. He's been doing it now for 2 years, 5 days a week. He does a great job. All right, let's get back in here to your chats. Should the Steelers take a running back? I guess I can change the banner now. They will take a running back. Russ saying Harris has an awesome 3-part story about his life. Fought hard to get. Here, watch it. Moving story. I think Najee Harris. We talk about the Steelers valuing the person off the field and not just the player on the field. And Najee Harris checks that box, no doubt about it. I mean, again, when I talk about this guy being a Steelers type of player, he checks every box. It's not a secret why the Steelers are so interested in this type of player. Russ saying you can't take a chance and trade down with how bad your running game has been. I would argue you can, because you can trade down and look, you could talk about getting Najee Harris. There's no guarantee, by the way, you move down to 28 and you still don't get Najee Harris, right? Like Chris was saying, you go to the New Orleans pick, you're still ahead of Buffalo, and you could still get Najee Harris, and also add a pick for tomorrow. That could be a corner, it could be a tight end, could be a Tommy Tremble, could be a tackle. You're gonna need a center tomorrow at some point. So again, I think acquiring picks at this point for the Steelers is probably the best thing they can do. But if they stick around, if they take Najee Harris, I understand, as I've said all night, I understand it, even if I don't completely agree with it. Andrew Tate, can't wait till the Steelers take. Really? Are we putting this out there? This is not completely crazy. You understand that? So we put this out there, and I might talk about the value of a quarterback over a running back, and I was preaching that all earlier tonight, but Kyle Trask at 24 would be a disaster. I mean, by the way, Kyle Trask at 55 would be a disaster. Kyle Trask at 87 would be a disaster. How about Kyle Trask never? They signed Mason Rudolph, and I think the reason why they signed Mason Rudolph is to stop whoever in the room put out the rumors about Kyle Trask from having any say in the matter. We don't need a quarterback for next year. We have Mason Rudolph. No, thank you. No, thank you. Russ, thank you for this one. All right. Chris saying, could the Dolphins trade back in? I mean, yeah, I think if the teams who are running back needy could definitely get back in again. If they want to do this, they have to get in now, because right now Tennessee is picking, and then we're going to have the Minnesota Vikings, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to take Najee Harris. So, yeah, if that was going to happen, that's going to happen in the immediate. It's going to have to happen now. All right. Okay, so that was Caleb Farley. So there goes Caleb Farley off the list. So it's down to Darisaw. By the way, I think by the way, Darisaw may just go right here to Minnesota, because if I'm not mistaken, Minnesota's a bit tackle needy after losing Riley Reif. Am I wrong on that one? I don't think I am. So I think that would be that could be the pick here, which again makes the Steelers pick even that easier, because you're not even swayed by the idea of taking a guy like Darisaw, who's a tackle who probably should have gone in the top 15, and here he is at 24. That would be like the Jordan Love pick. It wouldn't be exactly like the Jordan Love pick, because Aaron Rodgers, that team had just played in the AFC Championship game, and Aaron Rodgers still playing at a high level. The idea of taking a quarterback this year is because this is Ben's last year. Ben didn't play well at the end of last year. You don't have a quarterback of the future. I could have understood like a Mac Jones type thing. But yeah, taking Jordan Love last year for the Packers was probably even crazier than taking Kyle Trask this year. Even though Kyle Trask is, Kyle Trask is going to get picked tomorrow. Here's the thing about Kyle Trask. He's getting picked tomorrow. He shouldn't be. But no one's saying getting closer. We are as close as you can get. I mean, as long as Minnesota doesn't trade out and snake the Steelers here, it's exactly like we thought it was going to play out, which is we sit around for 3 hours just watching the time go by before the Steelers take Najee Harris. I mean, there was some intrigue to this draft, but once the Jets traded back up and the Dolphins took an edge rusher, I mean, we've known for what? We've known for probably an hour now that Najee Harris was likely to be on the board. And there was a little bit of intrigue, I guess, earlier in the night when it looked like Fields could fall. And I agree with Chris. If he had fallen to that 15 range, I don't know that he would have got past 15. So if the Steelers wanted to get Fields, let's say Fields had got to 14, you probably want to, that's when you want to move up. But I agree with Chris. I think that was about the range. 14, 15 is when the Steelers should have been looking to call, because that's about 9 picks on the board. I should look up, by the way, I do want to look up what the Bears got. And if anyone can tell me in chat, what did the Bears get for, what did the Bears give away? Excuse me. What did the Bears give away to move up to 11? Because I want to see the compensation there. I know it was less. Obviously, they moved up less picks than the Steelers did, but I still want to see that. Did you see the Jones-Drew trade? Ben at third for Rodgers. I did see that. Jones-Drew is hilarious. Did you guys see Ocho Cinco's trade where he was saying, oh, he's hearing it's all about Denver, but the Steelers are also in play? I thought that was kind of funny. I don't think Ben would be as sensitive as Rodgers. Oh, I don't know about that. Remember when Mason got picked? Mason got picked in the 3rd round, and Ben immediately went on that radio show in Pittsburgh and said, I don't know why they did this. I'm just going to be around. Yeah, I think Ben would be a little sensitive. Maybe not now because he's 38. He just signed this 1-year deal. He took a pay cut. I think he's probably a little more humble at this point in his career, especially considering how last year ended. But Max saying, I want Darisaw. Well, Darisaw may go off the board here to Minnesota, but if he does not, then Pittsburgh is certainly an option here. Now, he's not on my board, by the way, because the Steelers did not get a look at him at the pro day, or at least the position coach didn't go. But I imagine, some of these guys for the Steelers, the Steelers don't really take a look because they're not going to be on the board. Dead Sea Monster says Mason got extended. Our troubles are over. Yeah, Mason got extended today. I will say this. I know a lot of Steeler fans are not excited about that. The fact that Mason Rudolph will be on the roster for another year. Look, the Steelers had no quarterbacks on the roster for 2022. None. As of before they signed this deal. The best they had was Dwayne Haskins, who would be a restricted free agent. So they would at least control his rights going into 2022. But this is a guy who couldn't make it with Washington. So there's no saying that he was going to make it with the Steelers, especially, competing with Dobbs and Mason, right? I mean, Dwayne Haskins, let's not act like Dwayne Haskins was lighting it up there in Washington. I know there's a lot of off-the-field concerns, but on the field, he was one of the worst quarterbacks, if not the worst quarterback in the league, statistically speaking, a season ago. So Mason coming back, why I think it's a good deal, it's for no money. The one thing that could have happened for the Steelers, and I know this is very negative, and you guys don't want to hear this, but it's possible, considering the end of last season, the fact that Ben Roethlisberger at the end of last season played basically 4 straight bad games, right? Washington, Cincinnati, Buffalo, and then the Browns game, right? All of those games being poor performances from him. Then there was the one half of football against Indy. So I guess it was half a good game against Indy, half a bad game against Indy. Right? So he finished the year pretty poorly. 4.5 bad games. Mason Rudolph against Cleveland looked decent, right? Certainly for a 4-quarter stretch at the end of last season, Mason Rudolph looked better than Ben did for a 4-quarter stretch at the end of last year. Ben didn't have as good a game as Mason did at the end of last season. He had a great half against Indy. But other than that, Cincinnati, Washington, Buffalo, the Browns game, the end. I mean, look, the end of the Browns game, obviously Ben came on, but by that point the Steelers were down 40. So Mason next year, who's to say that Ben doesn't come out next year and look just as bad as he did at the end of last season? And that he, look, there were times last year, and we all thought this, Ben might get benched, right? There was that time in the middle of the Bengals game where you thought, boy, Ben might have to get benched at this point. And are we going to be saying that at some points in 2022? Potentially. Mason comes in. Okay, now let's imagine, and I know this is a crazy scenario, but let's imagine Mason comes in and he plays well enough. He plays well enough to start, and the team doesn't completely crater again, just like they did in 2019. They go, whatever it'll be now, 9-8 or something. And now all of a sudden, he's commanding $10, $15 million a year. Well, the Steelers paid him $3 million, so he can't do that anymore. By the way, the Vikings are on the clock right now. I'm imagining that this has got to be Christian Darrisaw, right? Yeah, it's Darrisaw. I mean, that was so obvious. I know that that's like kind of a crazy scenario. When we talk about, Mason Rudolph is going to outplay Ben Roethlisberger for a full season. I get that it's crazy, but when you consider where we ended up last year, I don't think it's as that crazy. All right, trying to catch up here on chat. Where did Panay go? Panay went to the Lions, number 7 overall pick. Let's see what else we got here I would love Barmore if Najee's gone. Barmore as an interior defensive lineman, definitely the best interior defensive lineman, but I think for the Steelers, it'd be more of a luxury pick. You have Alualu. Again, where this team is right now, remember, what the Steelers are picking for is for now. Or they're picking for right now. They're not picking for 2 years from now. We could talk, yes, I agree. Alualu's not going to be here for much longer. And we'll see what happens with Cam Hayward going forward. He's got a long contract. He's still playing at a high level, but he is, 31, 32 years old. But this, Barmore is a luxury pick. Najee's a pick for right now. That's why I think, Wosu Koromoa on the board. I would love a Wosu Koromoa here. It's probably going to be Najee. All right. Steelers are on the clock. Giants received 20th and 164 in addition to a 2022 first. Ooh. So the Bears paid up. Yeah, see, the Steelers weren't going to give up that much. The Steelers were not. The pick is in for the Steelers in about 15 seconds. The pick is in for the Steelers in about 15. I mean, they literally were not on the clock for more than 15 seconds, and this pick is in. It's over. It's Najee Harris. They ran to the board to do it. I mean, you literally talk about running to the board. We joke about this all the time. Oh, if this guy's available, I'm running to the board. No, the Steelers literally just ran to the board. I'm not, you know what? I'm just going to put it up. They don't need to say it. They don't need to say it on the NFL Network stream yet. Roger Goodell didn't say anything. We all know it. The pick is in. Yeah, we know. It's been in for about an hour. What is it? It's 11:10. It's been in for about an hour and 10 minutes. Ever since the Jets traded out and the Dolphins passed on him, this pick was in. Najee Harris to the Steelers. It's a dream night. It's a dream night for the front office. This is exactly what they wanted. And you talk about, does this team have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl this season? Well, let's put them just a little bit closer. Just a little bit closer. You're not going to have the 32nd running game. Now, are they going to be the 10th best running game? I don't think so. But what you need is just like 20th. You need to look. This is still a pass happy league, and Ben's still going to have to play at a high level in order for this team to compete the way that they did last year. But Najee Harris adds a dimension to this team, not just as a runner, but as a receiver out of the backfield. They haven't had in a while. Really haven't had since Le'Veon. He's going to add to that. Look, I don't love running back in the first round. Especially a guy who's 23 years of age, a guy who probably won't be here 5 years from now, a team that's going to go into a rebuild next year, whatever we're calling it. But I totally understand this pick. I get why they're doing it. I would be much more upset about this if this were, any other year. But being Ben's last year, here we go. And this is not Najee Harris. I think I'm going to be floored. I'll be absolutely floored. I'll turn this up so you guys can hear it.
In the 2021 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Najee Harris.
Yeah,
Running back, Alabama.
Okay. The Steelers it's so obvious every year. Oh, I wonder who they're going to take this year. Devin Bush? Yeah, it's going to be Devin Bush. That's not a question of if they're going to take Devin Bush. It's a question of how they're going to move up to get him. And this year, who's it going to be? Oh, it's going to be Najee Harris? Yeah, it's going to be Najee Harris. We had our pick locked easier than the Jags. Yeah, this was just... did Najee Harris really have to have 32 hats at his house? They could have just given him one, right? Maybe 3. All right, here's the Dolphins, Jets, but if those guys don't do it, it's going to be the Steelers. Najee Harris. Let's throw up some Najee Harris tape so you guys. So I'm sure you guys have all seen Najee Harris film, but it is fun to watch because he does kind of remind you of Le'Veon. I don't like the comparison. I don't like comparing when we talk about comparing prospects to guys who are all pros, but I think I've watched this highlight reel before. Here's the problem with this highlight reel. I'll let it play, but the problem with this reel is it's all goal line rushes, which I guess as Steeler fans we can't hate, right? Because we couldn't get. I mean, this exact situation for the Steelers last year was basically impossible. The only thing for the Steelers, or the only thing for Najee on these plays is it's not like he's having to work very hard at the line of scrimmage. They had a great offensive line at Alabama last year. But it's a good pick for what the Steelers want to do in 2022. Or 2021, I should say. Is it a good pick for what the Steelers want to do in 2024? We'll see. We'll see 3 years from now. We'll see. But it's certainly, the other interesting thing about this pick is they're going back to a bell cow system, right? So they're going to go back to Najee Harris for 25 plays, for 25 carries a game. All the talk of maybe they go outside zone or everything with ETN, with Canada's offense, nope, that's not going to happen. Tomlin gets the guy he wanted, which is, Tomlin loves the bell cow system. As much as we talked about. The thing you always have to watch with these plays, right, when you're watching Alabama, is what did Najee Harris really have to do, right? Like, let's look at this play. What did Najee Harris really have to do on this play? Now, we can talk about, look, would Benny Snell have made the same play? As I brought up earlier in the show. Okay, would Benny Snell have made this play? Well, no, but here's the problem with saying that. Where is it? Where's Benny Snell? That's the Steelers' offense last year, for rushing offense. That's the Steelers' runners. So would Benny Snell have made that play? No, but Benny Snell was one of the worst running backs in the league last year. In fact, according to PFF's charting, he was the second worst running back in the National Football League. It's like, yeah, Benny Snell might have missed that hole, but do we need Najee? Like, fine, you're hoping that guys like Tevin Jenkins, we're hoping that guys like Liam Eichenberg, we're hoping that those kind of players are going to continue to fall in this draft. Also, you're going to hope that Landon Dickerson, Quinn Miners, Kendrick Green, Creed Humphrey, these guys continue to fall for the Steelers. All right, we'll go back to chat here because I know a lot of you guys are pretty excited. We got No Limit excited. We got shocked Pikachu face. Max pretty happy. Oh, we got a Ravens fan here. Thanks for not getting Jenkins. Well, enjoy him. I think at 27, the Ravens are very likely to take Jenkins there. Here another Ravens fan happy to see the waste of running back in round 1. Again, I get that that's the conventional wisdom, and yes, the majority of the time you would say running back value in round 1 is not there, but in a situation where you need to win and you need to fix your running game in the immediate, get a runner who can do that. Harris, Troy saying Harris is good. He is good. All right, yeah. Asking here, what is his yards per carry? Let me pull up. I had this pulled up earlier. Here are his stats. Here are his stats in college. So you can see, he really kind of blew up. It was running back by committee in 2018, but 2019, he kind of took over. Actually, I think he was still running back by committee this year, but he put up big numbers, and then he came back this year and was just absolutely lights out for the team. You can see his reception numbers were up this season. Yards from scrimmage, nearly 1,900 yards. He's averaged near 6 yards a carry his entire college career. Really nothing bad to say about him in that regard. And then if we go over to the PFF charting for Najee Harris, let me make this a little smaller so you guys can see this when I put it up on the board. See if that, yeah. Hopefully you guys can read that. But basically, from a pure rushing grade, they gave him one of the highest grades in the nation. You look down to the advanced stats, yards after contact, he was second in the nation last year, I believe only behind Javonte Williams, who was the best. 71 missed tackles forced, that's also second in the nation, I think only behind Javonte Williams. And you think about these things, this is when we start talking about, okay, yes, he played behind a great Alabama offensive line, but when he was asked to create on his own, right? Well, sure, he wasn't asked often to do it, but when he was asked to do it, when he was asked to make guys miss downfield as an open field runner, and we know about Matt Canada and wanting to get guys in open space, the numbers advantages that he wants. This was the problem here. 15 plus carries, just 18, seventh last season. So that's, I mean, again, if there's one concern about him, it's the long speed. It's, is he going to be a game breaker like an ETN? He didn't run at all in the combine, or not the combine, but he didn't run at all his pro day. So if you look at his mock draftable, you have no numbers on him. So what would he have run? Would he have run a 4.6? Would that have dropped his stock? He was smart not to do it. Let's go back to chat here, get some of your guys' opinion. He finds lanes well. I agree completely. I think, vision is a big part. I think he's just such a polished runner. Again, there's no better pure running back in this draft. There are times when I watch Javonte Williams and I say he might end up being a better prospect because I think he looks for contact. He's, kind of a no-nonsense power runner. And I think maybe in the long term, he may have more success because I do like his burst probably a little more than Najee. And the knock on Javonte Williams, if you haven't seen him in the passing game, they didn't use him there. Just because they didn't use him doesn't mean he's not good at it. So Andrew's saying, I'm tapping out, having fun, looking forward to Tony Tuesday. That's right. Look for me on Locked On Steelers on Tuesday. I'll be there. Amos saying this is going to be fun. I agree. Najee Harris into this offense now, another weapon. You got to fix the offensive line. This is a deep offensive line class. It's a deeper offensive line class than it was a running back class. Whoa! Look at this. We got a run on running backs. ETN off the board to Jacksonville. You have to wonder if the Steelers hadn't gone with Najee Harris, would Jacksonville have gone with Najee Harris? Interesting. ETN off the board to Jacksonville. This is good. Now that the Steelers have taken Najee Harris, I would like to see Javonte Williams go off the board. I would like to see Trey Sermon, Kenneth Gainwell. I'd like to see all the running backs go off the board because, again, we want now we are in the we want offensive linemen to fall type stuff. Oh, I see. I am not updating the clock here because I am all in on Najee Harris. Cleveland on the clock. All right, well, they're going to take Owosu Koromoa. I mean, they just are. What can we do? They got their guy. Steelers got the player all their fans wanted. Cleveland got all the guy their fans wanted. Wasted first round pick. Who are you watching? Never fumbled in college. 6.3 yards. Yeah. 1,400 yards. Yeah, I mean, look. I don't think anyone's doubting that Najee Harris as a player is going to be a good running back. The question is, how valuable is a running back when it comes to wins and losses? And the question is, are the Steelers a running back away from competing? Because once you take Ben Roethlisberger out of this offense, 2022, once you take Ben Roethlisberger out, even if Najee Harris is one of the best backs in the league, let's say he's top 3, you end up in a Christian McCaffrey situation, right? Or a Saquon Barkley situation. Once you remove the elite passing game and you say, okay, running back, now it is all on you, it all falls apart from that point, right? Christian McCaffrey's fantastic. One of the best in the league. But once you remove Cam Newton and him from the system and you insert Teddy Bridgewater, or you insert, Will Grier, or what was the other kid that played there in Carolina, right? Again, Carolina had nothing going offensively, even though they had one of the best running backs in the league who was producing like a top running back. That's the problem. Yes, in a system with Ben Roethlisberger, we will all agree he's going to be good. But when you remove Ben from this system, what do you got in Najee Harris? And is that bringing you any closer to the next great Steeler team? And I think that's the open question going forward. And I think history has proven that's not the case. Fred saying a solid pick. I think Najee Harris was the obvious pick. Great, a guy who might have 10 rushes over 20 yards in his career. Not going to be a game breaker. If you wanted the game breaker, that was ETN, right? I mean, the Steelers had their chance at that guy. That was Travis Etienne. Etienne has had other questions of this. I think the Steelers what they value more about Najee Harris is that he's the reliable guy in every down. You don't have to go like, this is the Benny Snell drive. Or this is, it's Benny Snell time on 3rd and 1. No, Najee Harris is good in all situations. Keep him in there on 3rd down. Keep him there in every situation. Right, the pick is in for Cleveland. This is going to be Owosu Koromoa. I suppose Greg Newsome, there's an outside chance of Greg Newsome. Looking else, who else is available, who I could see here. Owe or Ojulari. Nah, it's going to be Owusu Koromoa. Just makes too much sense. ETN would have been better, more explosive. There's an argument to be made for that, especially in Matt Canada's system. I wonder if I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall to see what Matt Canada would have said about, ETN versus Harris. Not to say that that they went against him or whatever, but maybe he had preferred, and maybe in his mind they were close. I don't have Cleveland's pick just yet. We'll keep going. No limit. I knew the Jags were going to get a running back. It's a little bit surprising considering that James Robinson had so much success last year in a team where they, that was a team that was completely tanking, and you don't see that very often. A team that just didn't have a great, they just did not have a great surrounding there, and he was able to come in and make yards on his own. Not to say he had a great year. Some of that was just, he got 1,000 yards by just by running the ball a lot, but Harris is so-so. Steelers need an offensive line. I don't know that I would say he's so-so. I think he was the best back in this draft. And there's, again, as I say, sometimes I think it could be Javonte Williams, but that's only because I don't know that just because we don't know things about, we don't know that Javonte Williams is as good in the receiving game. He could be, and then as a runner, I probably like Javonte Williams a little better. But Harris is a good player. I don't think he's so-so. I'll take 4 to 5 every down. And that is what the Steelers are going to take as well. Especially if they're going to take 4 to 5 on, let's say, 3rd and 1. All right. Goodell is announcing the Browns pick currently. This is, it's got to be Owusu Koromoa. All right, so if we look at the board now, you look at the board over here, and we're starting to look at day 2 prospects. I think, Tevin Jenkins, if he fell to 55, I would be the happiest person on the planet. Cosme probably has more of a chance to do that because, again, the technique is a big problem here. You're going to have to tell your offensive line coach, look, you got to work with him. You got a lot to work with, but you got some work to do here to fix him because, he got away with things in the Big 12 where they don't play a whole lot of defense in the Big 12, especially in the AFC North. They're going to, you're going to have to go against Myles Garrett. You're going to have to go up against Trey Hendrickson. You're going to have to go up against Jadeveon Clowney. You're not just going to get away with it because you're really strong. Everybody's really strong at the NFL level. Let's see who else. Dickerson and Humphrey, the 2 centers, they need to keep falling. Radins, I think, is probably more of a guard. Oh, it's Greg Newsome, not Owusu Koromoa. Well, okay. Poor Greedy Williams, huh? It's my boy. Give him this. Give Greedy Williams this. Okay, sure. He's hurt. He'll never play again, likely. Well, he might play, but I don't think the Browns are going to rely on him at all. But this is a guy in college who you're like, well, he doesn't tackle, he doesn't even try, right? He's never going to be interested in the running game. Then he got hurt in a tackling drill in practice. Hurt his shoulder. Hasn't played since. So for the brand of Greedy Williams, you got to at least admire that. You got to at least admire that about him. All right. Baltimore next on the clock. As I said, I'll probably stay on here. I want to see who the Ravens take. What we are hoping for, by the way, if you are not watching AFC North Talk, Tuesdays, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time, we're live on YouTube. It's a roundtable show I do here. Search for it, AFC North Talk. I think you can find it just by searching AFC North Talk. Sonny, our Ravens guy there, absolutely despises this entire edge rushing class. There are 2 guys I think he despises more than anyone in this class. Jason Owe, but really Gregory Rousseau. And we want him to take credit. We just for the you guys know how much I love Schadenfreude, especially for Ravens fans. I want to see his reaction. In fact, we may have to pull him up. I may have to pull him up on the second monitor here because he's on. I think he's on Joe Nubo's stream. So I'll pull that up over here, just in case. Gotta see it. See if he's live. All right, Sonny is on right now. I'll show you guys. I don't think I have the audio going yet. But Sonny's my boy. Love him. But he's really, really low on this. I think too low, I would argue. Really low on this edge rushing class. He's very much about productivity from the class, and this is just not a productivity type class. So from that, I get where he's coming from, but you look at Owe and the athletic traits that he brings to the table. I mean, it's very much, a Bud Dupree type prospect. All right. Well, we won't leave it on here because we'll put it there when they actually make the pick. All right. So yeah, looking back through some of the prospects that we're hoping for the Steelers to get tomorrow. Eichenberg, I talked earlier tonight about wanting the Steelers to bring in a tackle who can compete specifically with Okorafor on that left side. I think Eichenberg is that guy. If we're talking about a day 2 player, Eichenberg is my favorite day 2 tackle to compete specifically with Okorafor. Tevin Jenkins is going to come in. I think he's probably going to be more of a right tackle. He's very good on as far as his run blocking goes. I don't know that he's got the feet to play left tackle though. Whereas I think Eichenberg, look, he doesn't have the physical traits, the physical attributes some of the better guys in this class do. We talk about strength, footwork, that kind of thing. But I think he's the most technically sound of those guys. And, he's a guy who I think can play 10 years at left tackle. He'll never be thought of as a top guy in this league, but he'll always just be solid for you. Kind of like Alejandro Villanueva has been for the Steelers for the last 5-6 years. Asante Samuel, if the Steelers are not going to go with an offensive lineman in round 2, there are 3 corners I think they're going to look at. Asante Samuel is one of them. Asante Samuel, of course, is Asante Samuel Jr., the son of Asante Samuel. So, first of all, he's got the pedigree that we know they like. Well, actually, I'm going to tip the pick real quick. I'm going to check Twitter. I'm going to tip this pick for Baltimore because I need to know if they took I need to know if they took Russo. Because if they take Russo, Sonny's going to lose his mind. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Well, the pick has not been tipped here yet on Twitter. I'm going to keep an eye on that, though. Sonny's going to give me a copyright strike? Come on. Listen, we're giving him free views. Look, go over to Joe Nubo stream. Give him a. Look, here's what I need you to do. First of all, if you're watching this, you haven't liked this video, give me a like real quick. Then what I want you to do is search for Joe Nubo stream. Give him a like because we're going to be supporting that stream as well tonight. We want to see their reaction if they take Gregory Rousseau here or Owe, any of them. Even I guess Ojulari they won't like either. I do like Ojulari. If there's one edge rusher I do not want to see go to Baltimore, it's Ojulari. Because Ojulari is good. Ojulari reminds me of T.J. Watt a little bit in the way that in the way that he gets off the ball really quick. They're talking about Najee Harris right now. Kevin Colbert and Tomlin are. Kevin Colbert said Najee Harris drove to Alabama's pro day even though he wasn't participating after his flight was canceled simply to support his teammates. Colbert says that really struck a chord with Coach and I. Tomlin said he has a nice combination of size, strength, and athleticism. He's a complete running back. There are not a lot of holes in his overall game. That's what we've been saying all night. All right, so Baltimore's pick is still in. I'm trying to find it on Twitter. Maybe I don't follow the right people, but I have not had it tipped. Let's see. Tyrone says, Sonny brought me here. Well, I appreciate it. Oh, they got the guy that he wanted. All right. The Ravens are going to take a wide receiver here. Spoilers. All right. We still got a chance at 31. By the way, they did not take a tackle. So they might actually go with Villanueva. George says Eichenberg would be great. I love Eichenberg. I think Eichenberg would be a fantastic pick at 55. You go Eichenberg at 55 and then, hope that Quinn Miners is still there at 87. Now we've addressed all the people who said offensive line in the first round. You got, again, a guy who's maybe not going to be a fantastic, a top 10, top 10 tackle in the league in Eichenberg, but he's going to be a solid left tackle, and he's going to compete right away. I mean, the thing about Eichenberg, because he's so technically sound, he's going to come in and compete right away with Okorafor. He doesn't have big holes in his game where you say, well, you got to get him to do this, you got to do that. No. This guy's going to come in, he's going to be solid right away. He's going to compete with Okorafor, who, as we brought up with those PFF grades earlier, Okorafor is one of the worst run blocking tackles in the league last year. It was bad. Did they announce it as Rashad Bateman? Rashad Bateman went to Baltimore. It's a good pick. It's a good pick for them. It's the guy that they wanted. It's one of the few guys in this class that kind of fit what the Ravens wanted at wide receiver. I think what were the question marks? See, I didn't do any research on wide receivers in this draft because let's be real, after the Steelers signed Juju, that was off the board. Ryan saying fantastic coverage. You and Alex and Dave on Steelers Depot are the best. I appreciate that. Listen, I have a lot of respect for the work that Alex and Dave do on Steelers Depot. As I said, Alex Kazor is the one that put together all the research on the pro days and all of that. I think there is a strong correlation. Look, I know Chris was talking earlier about, the idea that, hey, these are just schools that they're going to go to anyway. And that's true. But I think, again, we talk about 10 years of this. You talk about 10 years of taking players that have only been drafted by 10 years drafting players that you've been to their pro days. I mean, I think, and here's a chart, by the way. I'll bring this up real quick. Why I talk about this so much, why I'm like Mr. Pro Day guy. First of all, huge credit to Alex and Dave and what they do there, because they're the ones that brought this up. But then you look back at history. Let me try to make this a little bigger for you. Let me see if I can. Yeah, so I mean, you look at, and I went back to 2017. This is just the last 3 years, not counting 2020 because there were no pro days in 2020. You look at these players, Devin Bush, Terrell Edmonds, TJ Watt, James Washington. Again, these are players where they didn't just send Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert, right? Players where they sent the house, Devin Bush last year. And as we talked about with Najee Harris, they didn't just send Tomlin and Colbert to that pro day. Eddie Faulkner was there. Matt Canada was there. They sent the whole house to that pro day. And they've done that. Terrell Edmonds, same thing. TJ Watt, Joey Porter was there, who was the outside linebacker coach at the time. Randy Fichtner at James Washington's pro day. Again, you look through Tomlin and Colbert being at a pro day, by the way, is pretty indicative of a player that they're going to take. You look at them going to Michigan State a couple years back. They took Justin Lane. They went to Oklahoma State a couple years back. They took James Washington and Mason Rudolph from that. Mike Tomlin went to Tennessee, as did Keith Butler. They took Cam Sutton that year. So I think there's strong correlations between Tomlin and Colbert going to a pro day and that player end up getting taken. I know this is only 3 years. Kazora has this done going all the way back to 2010. So I appreciate you putting me in that category. I don't think I deserve it. I'm just a dude. Those guys are doing this full time. And as is Chris, and he does unbelievable work with DK. And as I said, the work he does on Locked On, if you guys aren't subscribed to that, you absolutely should be. George saying the Ravens got Bateman. It's a good pick for them. I mean, again, they've had a real tough time. They've had a real tough time getting wide receivers in free agency to come there. So this is the way that they were going to have to do that. Getting Bateman was one of the only guys in this draft they could really use. Again, they wanted a guy who's going to be a big, 50-50 ball guy. He's a good, I think Bateman's, if I remember right, Bateman is a very good route runner, but not as athletic as some of the other guys in this class. Again, I didn't do a ton of work. Sonny is super happy. He is. He should be. Again, this is their big need. They had to get a wide receiver. Much like the Steelers felt like they had to get a running back, right? The Ravens are in the same boat. Hey, if we just had a number one, what would have been different, right? You look, Steeler fans today, I've said this to Sonny in the past. He doesn't want to hear it because he wants to believe that the Ravens are, Super Bowl contenders and the Steelers are on their way down. And in some ways he is right about that, in that the Ravens have a quarterback who's going to be there for the next 10 years and the Steelers have a quarterback who's going to be there for the next 1 year. But when you look at the Steelers offseason and the Ravens offseason, they've had very similar offseasons, right? Both are going through a very big transition on their offensive line. Both lost big pass rushers in their, this offseason. Neither have made significant moves in free agency. They've tried to address here and there, but none of them are really big hits at positions. And both have gone in the draft now and tried to address the one thing that people say, hey, if you fix this, that puts you at the next level. For the Ravens, it's get a real wide receiver core for Lamar. Quit with this kind of Devin Duvernay and Hollywood Brown and Willie Snead and all these kind of number 2s and number 3s. Get yourself a guy in that city and put him next to Lamar Jackson. Let Lamar Jackson do his work. The Steelers, hey, get a running game. Yeah, Ben Roethlisberger was fantastic for 11 games last year, but by the time people figure out that he wasn't going to throw the ball past 15 yards and there was no threat of a run coming, the entire offense was shut down and there was no plan B. Fix the running game, and that's what the Steelers are doing this year. They've done it, first of all, by getting Najee Harris. They will, of course, tomorrow address the offensive line. So Sonny should be happy, and I understand why a lot of Steeler fans tonight are happy. Bateman not going to be happy. See, this is the thing, right? We'll see how he gets used. Look, they address the need. It's the same. Once again, Baltimore and Pittsburgh are the same team, or at least they have the same problems. Baltimore addressed their problem by taking wide receiver. But is their problem the wide receiver, or is their problem Greg Roman and the way that they use Lamar Jackson, the routes that they run, the route combinations they run? Are they scheming guys open? Are you just going to force a guy to come down with 50-50 balls with a Lamar Jackson who, let's be honest, is not exactly the most accurate quarterback in the league? And then you look at Pittsburgh and the way that they address tonight. They want to fix the running game. Okay, you took Najee Harris, who, yeah, he's going to be better than Benny Snell, but Benny Snell is one of the worst guys in the league. Anybody, pretty much a lot of running backs should be better than Benny Snell, right? You have a hard time finding worse. Did you really fix the running game if you're not going to fix the offensive line? Now, that'll happen tomorrow, in all likelihood. But, yeah, I think the point stands here, which is, yeah, you got Bateman, but was Greg Roman the problem there? We'll see. Oh, Sonny's going to be on another level. I don't know. Sonny always loves, we do like this. Sonny and I have this thing back and forth with the props. He brings a prop. I bring a prop. He does the voice changer, right? We got this back and forth going. I'm looking forward to Tuesday. He's going to be on cloud 9, cloud 10, cloud 11, cloud 12. Okay. He's going to be on through the roof. I wish I were a Steeler fan that was like through the roof on a running back. I'm more just kind of thinking I understand why they went, even though I'm not thrilled with the running back, I get it. I understand it. So I'm fine with it, but he's going to be just, oh my goodness. Can't even imagine. All right. Second round prediction. I think I went through them. I wish there were a way for me. One thing I did, I built this whole big board thing. I built this whole system for me to update and everything. And I didn't build a way for me to just select certain players to show you. But we'll go through this real quick. I'll tell you the players that I'm most hoping fall in round 2. Jenkins. If Jenkins falls in round 2, it's the perfect draft. Jenkins is who I would have taken in round 1. If I was Kevin Colbert, I would have taken Tevin Jenkins. Actually, I would have traded down, or Tevin Jenkins. But if he falls to round 2, it's the greatest draft. This is incredible. Cosme, again, another player, physicality, strength. This is what Adrian Clem talked about when he said, let's fix the offensive line, let's get more physical. Physical. Jenkins, Cosme, physical. What else we got here? Landon Dickerson. We talked about, if you didn't see with Chris on, as Chris said, if the medicals are, if there was no medical problem with Landon Dickerson, he wouldn't be on the board still. He'd be gone in the top 15 picks. This guy's tape is this is I shouldn't say future Hall of Famer because that's really stupid, but this is a guy who's going to be a starting center and a great starting center forever. This guy's, and he does everything. He's as instinctual as they come as a center. He can play at the second level. And this is a guy who the offensive line coach for Alabama said Landon Dickerson's goal on every play is to make the player away from him never want to play football again. That's what Landon Dickerson wants to do. Creed Humphrey couldn't be a different kind of player. This is a guy who's much more athletic. He's much more of a lead blocker type. Get him out there pulling second level. Holy cow. This guy, he gets his head of steam going. Good night, second level defender. I know Owusu-Koramoah didn't go to Cleveland, but if he had, night Owusu-Koramoah if Creed Humphrey gets his hands on you. Radins, I think, is more of a guard, so he might not be a Steelers selection here. But I think Adrian Clem, let me just check it. Adrian Clem, did go to that pro day. So someone they're looking out for. Eichenberg's maybe my favorite guy. If, look, obviously I think Cosme and I think Jenkins are going to be off. Eichenberg, I've talked about this already. Get some competition in there for Okorafor. He's your worst offensive lineman other than B.J. Finney, but they're going to get a replacement for B.J. Finney tomorrow. Get a guy in there to compete with Okorafor. Eichenberg can be that guy to play on the left side. If the Steelers want to go corner, Asante Samuel Jr., Eric Stokes, and where is he? Tyson Campbell. Now, I've talked about these guys in the past. Asante Samuel is the one guy out of these three who I think can come in immediately and play in the slot. I think the other two are probably more outside corners. Stokes is the problem I have with Stokes. He'll never play in the slot because he just does not have the change of direction. It's a big problem for him. He ran like a 4.3, maybe a 4.2. I mean, he was insanely fast. But you just can't change direction. And, while he's a straight line guy, any sort of in-breaking route and the guy's open, it's a problem for Stokes. Can you teach it out of him at the next level? And then the same thing for Tyson Campbell. Not that he has a problem with change of direction. I think his change of direction is great. The problem for him is once the ball's in the air, he can't play the ball. I mean, he makes, as I've said many times, he makes 50-50 balls, 75-25 for wide receivers. If you can get that out of his game, I think this is a shutdown corner at the next level. Tommy Tremble would be a great tight end. I think as far as a blocking tight end, put him alongside Eric Ebron, develop him as a receiver. Nick Bolton's an interesting player. The athleticism concerns here. I don't know if the Steelers want that because while it's not necessarily. Let me pull him up. I'll show you guys what I mean. It's not necessarily that he's like slow, but you're putting this guy. Are you putting this guy next to Devin Bush? Small and like not great at change of direction. And you kind of see this on tape a little bit. He's always around the ball, very instinctive player. But, I don't know. I go back and forth on Bolton. All right, I answered that question for about 45 minutes. Let me try to catch up on chat here real quick. Actually, let me also change who is up to draft right now because the Packers are on the clock. In fact, I see Mr. Goodell is going to announce that selection here. They're going to take, what are they going to take? Kyle Trask here to replace Rodgers? Give him more, maybe give him a little more, get him a little more motivation, right? Tony, you're very good. I usually agree with your opinion, just not always. Well, listen, you don't have to agree with my opinion always. And a lot of times, I am very much at the contrarian of Steeler Nation. Much like tonight, I think, I brought that up. When do you want to see the Steelers take a running back? The majority of Steeler fans wanted a running back tonight. I get that. I did not. I did not want them to take a running back tonight. I would rather take an offensive lineman or trade it down. But I understand why they're taking a running back tonight. Again, I just think, look, here's my opinion. It's not going to be it's not going to be a popular opinion. I don't think there's any chance the Steelers win the Super Bowl this year. I think the fact that the Steelers are going to try this for one final time is fine, and I get it. Intellectually, I understand it. They're wrong. They're not going to win a Super Bowl this year, and taking a running back now is going to set back what is going to be a rebuild after you get Ben. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and they miracle their way into like Aaron Rodgers next year. They convince Andrew Luck to come out of retirement. They end up with a quarterback who puts them right back in contention. He's good. And yeah, Najee Harris matters at that point. My worry is that once Ben leaves, Najee Harris doesn't matter anymore. Like I said before, he becomes Christian McCaffrey. That's my worry. Keep going here. Chris is great too. Oh, Chris is fantastic. Honestly, trust you guys more than any major media when it comes to the Steelers. Appreciate that. Again, I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude with a YouTube channel. I like talking Steelers. It is intimidating to me when I get put on the level of a guy like Chris. When I took over for John Ledyard. John Ledyard, a guy who I listened to Locked On Steelers daily when he was the host of that. So when I got offered that job, what? Here's the crazy part. Here's the crazy part. The hosts of Locked On Steelers have been Adam Crowley was the original host of Locked On Steelers. He went on to be the afternoon radio guy on ESPN Pittsburgh for many, many years. I think he has a podcast that he's just doing a podcast again. I think he went and became he's like a behind the scenes guy for iHeartRadio. But, he's again, we're talking about the guy who was the afternoon ESPN radio guy in Pittsburgh. That's the first host. The second host, John Ledyard. Ledyard was a fantastic host for that and wrote for Steelers Depot, did a bunch of stuff for the Draft Network. Now he is with Pewter Report. He reports on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, the sky's the limit for John Ledyard. Chris Carter, someone who I met at training camp a couple years back. He again, one of the smartest football guys I've ever met. He and I don't always see eye to eye on stuff, but what you can never say about Chris is that he doesn't know his stuff. He absolutely does. And again, I've told Chris this a million times. He is another guy who, it's not a question of if Chris Carter is going to become a big name in Steelers media alongside the Ed Bouchettes, the Jerry Dulacks of the world. It is a question of when, not if. So the fact that my name is in the middle of those four, okay? It goes Adam Crowley, John Ledyard, Tony Serino, Chris Carter. One of those things is not like the other. But I appreciate you guys putting me on that level. All right, what else do we got here? At least the top centers are still out there. You know, the only center that was really going to be considered a day one guy was Creed Humphrey because of the medicals of Landon Dickerson. And that may have pushed Creed Humphrey a little higher. But I think when you looked at the tape, I don't think that Creed Humphrey was ever, I mean, maybe in this point he could still get taken, but he was always going to be a late day one guy. If he's going to be more of a day two guy. Wonder what Ace thinks about his pick. That's a great point. Should we go back and watch? He did a live stream tonight too. You can't. Here's the problem I have with Ace. Okay? Oh no, we didn't take Panay. We took the best wide receiver prospect in this class and someone who, you know, they compare to the top guys already in the game. Whoa, and putting him alongside Joe Burrow, who as a rookie in a terrible Bengals team looked like he was going to be a dude. Right? I mean, that was a Bengals team that was bad last year. And I know Bengals fans tried to convince themselves, oh, we're going to be 7-9, we're going to be 8-8. No, you're not. But the fact that Bengals were in every game last year, that they were a feisty team throughout the season, and especially considering all the infighting on that team, you know, again, I can't. It's hard for me to feel sorry for them because they just got Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is going to be a good player. All right, what else we got? Tommy Tremble just didn't get thrown to. I agree. Although there were times on tape, George, that when I watched Tommy Tremble, that he kind of made some easy catches look a little more difficult. That might not have been why he got thrown to. Although the other part there is he was playing alongside Ian Book. And Ian Book, I did watch some Ian Book this year because I watched a lot of Liam Eichenberg and I watched a lot of Tommy Tremble. And I can tell you with certainty, Ian Book is terrible. Grossi looking pretty frustrated. Who did oh, they took Eric Stokes, right? Green Bay took Eric Stokes. Yeah. Stokes though, he shut down a lot of the top guys. I mean, he had a lot of good film. He just, he has a real change of direction problem. 5 corners in the first round, is that a lot? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think all the ones that were supposed to go went plus Eric Stokes. Who got taken recently? I guess obviously since Najee's been, feels like everything since Najee Harris is a blur. But let me just check real quick. Oh, Newsome as well. Yeah, so I mean I think 4 were always considered. Stokes is the one. Although I always thought one of those two, Stokes and Campbell, would sneak in at the back end. And it was Stokes that ended up sneaking in. I thought the Steelers might be that guy. Oh, no. Can I tip this other pick? The Bills is already in. Bills took Russo, which means that the Ravens can't take Russo. They can still take Owe, though. Didn't mention Freiermuth in the second. Why? I did not mention Freiermuth in the second because I'm not a huge Freiermuth guy, if I'm being honest. Here's my problem with Freiermuth. I don't think he has NFL athleticism. I just watch him and I go, this guy is going to be a tight end at the next level. Like with the amount of athletic tight ends that are being added to the league. You think about tight ends being mismatches at the next level, right? You want big physical guys who are mismatch guys. Freiermuth has some 50-50 catches, but I don't think he's as physical as people make him out to be. And he's certainly not athletic to be like a great route runner at the next level. And I just think about the idea that, you're going to have guys who are super athletic, the Owusu Koromoas, the Jamin Davises, right? The Zaven Collins that are just getting added to the league now. They're going to be the ones covering Freiermuth. So that's my problem for him. I understand. I get, he's a good route runner and all that. I just don't. I'm not a huge Freiermuth guy. I have Tremble as my tight end too in this class. All right, so we are down to the last 2 picks of the draft. I'm going to call it a night here relatively shortly. It's actually not that bad. It's only midnight. I'm probably going to record a video for the channel all about the Steelers drafting Najee Harris. I appreciate all of you watching tonight. This is my second time doing a live stream. I used to do this back when I was host of Locked On Steelers. I did I guess I should update this board, huh? I did a live stream a couple years back. It was a lot of fun, so I wanted to do this again. Tomorrow I'm going to start. I'll probably start pretty early because the second round goes pretty early. So I might start right when the draft starts. So look for that here. I'll be doing that again. Day 3 is going to be a little more difficult. I don't know if I'm going to do day 3. It's possible. But I really do appreciate all you guys watching throughout the night. I'll have a video out about Najee Harris coming shortly. I will be on. I'll do the live stream again tomorrow. I'll be on Locked On Steelers on Tuesday, AFC North Talk on Tuesday. You're going to get a lot of me over the next couple of days. I know my YouTube videos have been few and far between. The nice thing about, the reason why I left Locked On Steelers and the reason why I did this was because I can, Locked On Steelers is every day. This, I can just, whenever I have something to say, I can do it. So, and as I've said many times in the past, the NFL draft is the Super Bowl of the offseason. This is what I love. So this is one of my favorite nights of the year. This and tomorrow. Obviously, day 3 gets a little weird because you're just getting into, you're getting real into crapshoots at that point. And then by the time you get into the 6th and 7th round, there's a lot of guys getting taken that you definitely have not watched film on. You're not, some of the players get taken, like, I hadn't even heard of this guy yet. But these nights, tonight, tomorrow night, these are fun. All right, so with Russo going to Buffalo, that puts Baltimore back on the clock to take Tevin Jenkins. And I think that's just going to be a perfect pick for Baltimore. Again, Baltimore's going to end up with Bateman and Jenkins. They didn't address edge. I mean, they still could. They could still go Owe here. Just not Ojulari. George says, thanks, Tony, getting better all the time. I appreciate that. Getting the reps in, certainly. Getting the reps in on nights like this. My hope here for the Ravens is... No, I guess I should update that the Ravens are on the clock. My hope here with Baltimore is not Ojulari, not Jenkins, and I guess not Sam Cosmi either. Wouldn't love that. One thing that Sonny has pointed out to me in the past is that safety could be an option here, and Trevon Moehrig, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but Trevon Moehrig from TCU could be that guy. Uh-oh. Oh, I'm assuming that Tyrone is saying, yeah, he's a Ravens fan, and I'm assuming you're saying this because Russo is off the board, so it's impossible for the Ravens to take Russo. Never know. Sign and trade could happen. Sign and trade. Keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. Could still happen. Ravens taking all the clock here. Are they trying to move back? Do they not like their options here? Kevin Colbert saying at the press conference, quote, he finds invisible yards at that second level. Says the team decided, quote, if he's available, we will pick him. It was easy to identify him. We know. We know. It is one of those things where you watch Najee Harris and you just go, oh yeah, this is a Steelers running back. This is a Steeler guy. This is what Mike Tomlin, like if Mike Tomlin closes his eyes and just goes, what would be the perfect running back? He imagines Najee Harris. That's who he imagines. So, are you tipping picks? I've been watching Twitter. I have not seen that I don't think the pick is in yet. So, I don't think it could. I mean, look, obviously Tevin Jenkins makes the most sense here for the Ravens. I think Tevin Jenkins makes the most sense, and I think one of the edge rushers makes a lot of sense too. Owe or Ojulari. I don't know. I don't know what they value more. Like, what does Harbaugh and that staff value more out of a rusher? You have the productivity and the pass rush traits of Ojulari versus the just pure athletic traits of Owe. And again, not to say that, I know Owe had no sacks last year, but again, we're talking about a year where the Big Ten played, 6-7 games? Something like that? When you normally in a season play 10, 11, 12? So, yeah. George saying AFC North Talk is great, even though Quincy predicted 6-10 Steelers last year, and that was hilarious. That's what you're always going to get. One thing I didn't realize when I started that show, and I guess I should have, is maybe naive Tony coming out. Didn't realize how much that everyone in the AFC North, all the other teams just despise the Steelers. And obviously, they despise the success. What they really despise is the success the Steelers have had, the continued success, right? And I think where 6-10 came from, and I've said this before, 6-10 came from the idea that the Steelers should have been 6-10 with Duck and Mason. And the idea that the Steelers didn't go 6-10 with those two guys, like, well, they just can't. They have to go, they just have to go 6-10 now. I mean, it's got to be over, right? And they can't, it's a bit like, what's this, Jesse in Breaking Bad, right? They can't keep getting away with this. That was AFC North Talk all of last season. when everyone just couldn't. Again, Bengals fans, Browns fans. Oh baby, I just got the pick. Do you want me to say? Can I tell you? Can I tell you who they took? Can I tell you who the Ravens took? Let's make a short trip over to Joe Nubo's stream just to see what they're talking about. Because while they might have been very happy over there in Ravenland, they're not going to be so happy with this next selection. Let's just say the guy they're drafting is really, really athletic. Like, almost freakishly athletic. But if you're looking for a player to sack the quarterback, well, he didn't have a whole lot of experience doing that last year. Now, as I said, I don't dislike Owe. I don't dislike Owe. I think Owe's fine. I think he can develop into a, again, you look at the relative athletic score, right? The Kenley Platt thing of what does this guy look like from a pure athletic standpoint? I think you could do a lot worse than that, right? I mean, 4.37 at what? 6'4", 257? You could do a lot worse than that. And by the way, I mean, the 10-yard split there is incredible as well. And that's what you really want. You want the burst, right? You want the guy. And what is his vertical? Yeah, I mean, the guy jumped 39.5. I mean, this is a guy who has unbelievable physical traits. You can't get a guy like this. Now, you normally will never find a player like this. So the physical traits on Jason Owe are incredible. Now, I know he had 0 sacks last year. It's not like he had 0 sacks for his entire career. Let's get rid of Najee Harris here. Let's pull up. They're behind on their stream. Don't worry, we will not miss their reaction. By the way, if you haven't left a like, I need you to go over there, leave a like on their stream, because if we're gonna, if we're gonna use their content, I want to make sure that they're getting credit for it. Yeah, Owe had 5 sacks the year before, and then 2 sacks on 31 pass rushes. That's not bad. Yeah, he had 171 pass rushes last year. In 7 games, had no sacks. 15 hurries. It's not that bad. Hold on. I take you now to Eclectic Tyrone, who seems to be very excited about this pick. Oh, we have a... Oh, this... I love... This is a... Can I steal this? Can I steal this point and use it on Locked On Steelers Conspiracy Talk? Bandito, I need your permission to steal this point and use it as a tinfoil hat Tony on Locked On Steelers on Tuesday, because that is unbelievably, I was going to swear, but I'm trying to keep it PG, unbelievably good take. Unbelievable. 10 out of 10 take, Bandito, and I need to steal that for Locked On Steelers, but I need your permission to do so. Now. Oh, baby! We missed it. Damn, I got to go back. Hold on. He's not happy. He's not happy. Hold on. We got to...
Seems like a pure potential pick, right?
Let me just back it up.
This to me seems like a pure potential pick. I don't like it at all.
Oh,
I will tell you that.
Oh, I see. I can't.
I would have definitely taken Tevin Jenkins here. That would be my pick. I'm not a fan of this pick, but it's a potential pick. It's potential. For me, I mean, there's not much else to say because he doesn't have numbers. He doesn't have the tape necessarily. This is pure potential. This is a raw athlete, raw potential. That's it. Right? The Ravens needed an edge rusher, and they took Jason Owe.
I wouldn't say, though, that he has no traits as an edge rusher. I think his bend is actually pretty decent. I mean, yeah.
This seems like the Hollywood Brown pick.
He doesn't have a ton of tools. Like he doesn't have. Guys get drafted all the time who don't have like a premier pass rush tool set. You have to develop that at the next level.
Hollywood Brown levels of disappointment.
And all they're saying, he has so much potential.
Yeah.
All right. We'll leave it there. I don't want to. I kind of feel all of a sudden, Sonny's making me feel bad. Look how sad he looks. Sometimes I actually feel bad for the guy. Yeah, you can have it. I appreciate that, and I'm definitely going to use that on Tuesday. No one tell Chris. Unbelievably good take. Oh, yeah, George, here we go. That was very funny. Oh, so good. Such a good take. All right, what else do we got here? Imagine seeing Harris dominating with number 32. One thing I'm happy with, can we talk about this for a second? How do you guys feel about the single number thing for all these players now? Like, the idea that if Etienne had been the pick, he could wear number 8 for the Steelers. I don't like that. I'm not that guy. I'm not a single number guy. And maybe, you know, I'm getting old, becoming a curmudgeon type deal. I'm 36 now, but yeah, I'm not. I'm not about the single number stuff for running backs and wide receivers. I mean, because wide receivers I'm okay with. It's the running backs, I guess, that's going to bother me the most. Because wide receivers is already like 10, 11, 12. They crossed that bridge and I was okay with it. Sonny loving it. Ooh. Sonny didn't love it. He didn't love it. Look, he was top on our board. He was one of the top guys on our board. Look at this. Now it's interesting on Tuesday. We'll see what the Ravens do tomorrow. They don't pick until like in the 90s tomorrow, but I wonder where, like, how Sonny's going to feel about this, because he got 50% the exact guy he wanted and then 50% the guy that he just he can't stand. I don't know. We'll see. I think, to be honest, I think the Browns did well in their pick. I think the Ravens did decent. I mean, Owe is going to take some time to develop, clearly. But you can't teach the physical tools that you're getting from him. And again, I don't think he's like a complete blank slate. The more I watch of Owe, the more I'm like, okay, well, you can build, there are some tools, the bend specifically, that you can work with at the next level. Yes, he does not have a refined pass rushing tool set, but, neither do a lot of guys that come into the league. They have to develop that as they go. So, and Owe at some point, at one point in the draft, I believe was considered to be a top 20 pick. They get him at 31. So I do think, though, I think they passed on Ojulari, who could have been a better pick for them because he could have been more productive early. All right, let's get some more takes in here. Faded Pops, no single numbers. Yeah, the single number thing, like, it's cool. College, it's always been there in college, so I'm fine with it in college. But bringing it to the pros, it's just going to be strange. What was it today? Emmanuel Sanders is going to wear number 1. Green Hat Bandito. It'll be weird to see anyone number 1 besides a kicker and a QB. It is going to be strange. I guess it'll be something you just get used to. I don't think it was that strange when they went to like 10, 11, 12, 17 for wide receivers. There wasn't that big a change. Single digits is going to be a little strange. And then I think they opened it up for other positions too, right? Cornerbacks can wear, it's basically just the same thing as college. And I think linebackers can wear in the 20s now too. I think they opened up linebackers to wear different numbers, which, let's be honest, the Steelers already broke that with Mark Barron a couple years back. Mark Barron wearing 26 and inside linebacker. No. Don't like it. All right, I think the draft is done. We're done in round 1. The Buccaneers selected Joe Tryon. So we are done for the day. Let me update the board really quick before I sign off. We'll put Jacksonville back on the clock. The Steelers pick, it is currently pick number 33. The Steelers pick at 55 tomorrow. It's got a little bit of waiting to do tomorrow as well. We'll take Owe off the board. I don't think Tryon was a player the Steelers had any interest in. So I'll tell you what, this board looks pretty decent for the Steelers. You still got some top offensive linemen, especially some top tackles here, physical tackles still on the board at Jenkins and Cosme. If the Steelers are going to get one of these guys, I imagine it'll be a trade up to do so, because I think these guys go, really before pick 40, to be honest. Dickerson and Creed Humphrey. Dickerson may be a round 3 guy. The medicals are the real problem there. Humphrey's gonna be a big piece tomorrow, because tomorrow's when the centers start to go. There may even be a run on centers when you consider Dickerson, Humphrey, Miners, and then the other kid, Josh Myers from where is he down this list? Ooh, he's far down. Josh Myers from Ohio State. I'm surprised to see him this low. A PFF doesn't like him. Oh, and he didn't do a. So anyone you see with a 7 on the relative athletic score, that means they didn't run at their combine. So, and then you got Jalen Mayfield, might be more of a guard, didn't test well. I mean, there's a ton of good offensive linemen tomorrow. Kendrick Green, I'd put interior offensive line here. He's probably a center, or probably a center at this level. Here's a player we want to avoid. Just say no. Just say no. Just say no. Spencer Brown. There's only 110. There's only 110 in a class. He's the best offensive lineman prospect from an athletic standpoint in this class, and it's stupid when you watch his tape at Division II. Absolutely stupid. He's just so big, he doesn't even have to try. And then he went to the Senior Bowl. He struggled a little bit there, but he wasn't terrible. I think Adrian Clem would look at him and go, let me take a chance at this guy. I'll work with him. We'll get him there. We can get him there. Some other players I like, Wyatt Davis. Yeah, it's just so many good offensive linemen. Again, this is such a good offensive lineman class. And there's some good linebackers, too. Baron Browning, Nick Bolton, still available. Walker Little, we talked to Chris about him. A prospect we haven't seen in a couple years. But anyway, thank you all for watching tonight. Hope you guys have enjoyed the coverage. As I said, I'll be back tomorrow night. Hit that subscribe button for me so you'll be notified tomorrow when I go live. And hit that like button as well. Helps me spread the word about the channel. Once again, really appreciate everyone who watched. And I hope you join me back here tomorrow. And I am going to sign off